CFAX Victoria,
an iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning at 6 o'clock on Monday, August the 10th. So we got another sunny day with highs eventually to hit 22 degrees. Right now it's 12. We'll get to the full weather forecast in a moment. Right now, let's get to that news and let's welcome back to the microphone Lisa Best.
Thank you, Ryan, and good morning. We begin with the fires that are burning across BC coming out of the weekend. We have 104 wildfires burning, 46 considered out of control. There's been 3 new starts in the last 24 hours. A new fire burning north of Port Alberni that was discovered yesterday is already considered under control, but of course, this is far from the case on the mainland. The BC Wildfire Service says it's expecting high potential for lightning-caused wildfire starts, particularly, again, in the central and interior and Okanagan regions that could use more water than heat and flames. It says elevated temperatures and wind gusts are expected to linger, and that can also increase fire behavior. The update comes as the province declares a state of emergency over the weekend as a wildfire near Summerlin forced overnight evacuations of thousands of residents. Kala Gadoshi says she has found out that her home in Falder has been destroyed after she received a photo of the ridge where it once stood. The ridge completely engulfed in flames. The community west of Summerlin was one of the first areas overrun by the Bald Range wildfire that claimed one life. A senior and forced more than 20,000 residents around Okanagan Lake to flee. RCMP said an 80-year-old woman died because of the fire she tried to escape from her home in Meadow Valley, which is west of Summerlin. More than 180 new fires across the U.S. since Saturday. Officials say 8 of those quickly grew into large infernos due to the heat and dry temperatures, mostly in the western states.
Firefighters working to contain nearly 100 large fires nationwide. In Utah, hundreds of thousands of acres scorched. 2 pilots were killed fighting a 174-square-mile wildfire still burning. The helicopter, flying in an area of steep terrain, crashed, igniting another fire. People in southern Oregon forced to evacuate as the Wright Spring fire grows in size.
We'll have updates throughout the morning for you here on CFAX about the fire situation in BC and elsewhere. A group representing First Nations across the province is calling on Ottawa and Alberta to halt the proposed West Coast pipeline, warning that project would worsen climate change and disasters.
In a letter to Prime Minister Mark Carney and Alberta Premier Danielle Smith, the Union of BC Indian Chiefs says First Nations have not been meaningfully consulted on a proposed West Coast oil pipeline. The group says key decisions have already been made and warns expanding fossil fuel production will worsen climate change. The proposed 1,250-kilometer pipeline would carry up to 1 million barrels of crude oil per day from Alberta to a port near Delta, BC for export. Now, Ottawa is considering designating the project as being in the national interest, which could speed up its approval process. David Augustine, The Canadian Press.
Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc headed back to Washington, D.C. today to begin yet another round of trade negotiations. We are 9 days away from Donald Trump's latest threat of a 50% tariff taking effect on a wide range of Canadian goods, that one due to our wildfire smoke not stopping at the border. CTV's Michael Serapio has the latest on trade talks and reaction to the word that Canadian officials are bringing the option of more concessions to the table.
I don't know what we could give that would ensure that we didn't have economic pain.
Industry sources tell CTV News Ottawa is considering concessions on U.S. cars and booze to avoid a new 50% tariff that would be applied on August 19.
I don't think we should be making any concessions to the U.S.
I don't know. We've already done a lot.
This Sunday, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre released an early morning letter. Addressed to the Prime Minister, it warns Mark Carney against giving any ground to the U.S.
Poilievre's letter calls on Carney to show some backbone in trade talks, saying he's already made several concessions, sharing revenues for the new Gordie Howe Bridge, the span linking Windsor and Detroit, as one of them. Lawyers and advocacy groups are raising concerns about proposed federal changes to Canada's Access to Information Act.
Critics are most concerned about the restriction on access to certain documents, which could include emails. They also oppose allowing longer processing delays based on staffing or budgets, saying some access requests already take months or even years. Advocates say Ottawa could reduce delays by proactively publishing more records, including scientific evidence behind decisions on issues like pesticides and GMOs. Diana Musina, The Canadian Press.
And that's your CFAX News to 6:05. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question. We're asking, have you begun back to school shopping and preparations? Over 90% say nope. Either no kids or too soon. You can vote at CFAX1070.com. I'm Lisa Best, your news time, 6:06.
Hey, thanks, Lisa, and welcome back.
Thank you.
Good to have you back.
It was a busy week.
Yeah?
I needed the week off just for my social life.
So, caught up with a lot of friends?
No, it was just so much going on.
Oh, that's true. I mean, I guess just in the...
Every day there was something overhead.
Whether it was the
Music,
Snowbirds
right?
twice.
Yes.
Giant David Foster Foundation
Fireworks.
events. Fireworks. So much going on.
Yeah.
Let's catch up on that in a few
Okay.
moments, but let's also catch up on the sports. Lots to talk about. Let's start with the local baseball scene because the Nanaimo Night Owls, as we know, doing their historic first ever playoff run, just finished off the series with the Bellingham Bells. Last night a loss, 17-4 was the win for Bellingham. The Nanaimo Night Owls also dropped Saturday's game, but they won Friday's opener of that three-game set. The Night Owls now set their sights on the next series, which will be against the Kelowna Falcons as the playoffs roll on in the West Coast Baseball League. For the major leagues, the Toronto Blue Jays, 3.5 games back of an American League wild card berth, open a critical 4-game series tonight against the Boston Red Sox, who occupy one of the wild card playoff spots. Canadian right-hander Jameson Taillon will start for the Jays, while the Red Sox will go with ace right-hander Sonny Gray. Seattle Mariners lost 4-1 to the Tampa Bay Rays yesterday, wrapping up a series sweep at T-Mobile Park. Now, there's a few other sports results locally I want to talk about. These weren't yesterday, just sort of catching you up on the weekend. Victoria Junior A Shamrocks won 11-10 against Coquitlam in Game 6 on Saturday night, and with that, they clinched the BCJALL Championship and punched their ticket to the Minto Cup in Calgary. So that happened back on Saturday, but I just wanted to make sure to mention that. And since we're talking Shamrocks, the Senior A Shamrocks won 11-6 against the Nanaimo Timbermen on Friday. And with that, Victoria swept the best-of-5 series, 3-0, and will advance to the WLA Finals. We're going to talk about the Shamrocks lacrosse, by the way, in a few moments. But we should also mention Pacific FC. They played, of course, on Saturday. They drew 1-1 against Inter Toronto at Starlight Stadium. Now, that means that they still haven't got their win. Got a draw. They got the point. But the winless streak stretches to 26 games. That's your CFAX Sports to 6:09. Good morning. The morning show is brought to you by Thrifty Foods. Now in season, fresh BC peaches, joyfully juicy, tree ripened under the Okanagan sunshine. Pick some up today at Thrifty Foods. On the roads today, one thing to watch out for, the city of Victoria is back at it with the smoke testing to inspect the sewer system. This is going on from 5 in the morning until 4 p.m. daily in Rock Bay. So this is already on. If you see any smoke coming from maintenance holes, catch basins, or gutters, do not be alarmed, unless, of course, it's dark and odorous, in which case maybe it's a fire, they say. But if it's just, white...
Timing, people, timing.
Just white smoke, it's okay.
Oh, then the Pope is still alive?
Is that what it means?
It had to go there.
Yeah. I remember doing that a few times, watching a TV feed to see if smoke would arise, what colored smoke is coming from the Vatican. Yeah.
Now we pay attention to wildfire, to the smoke in the air for a different reason.
Yeah, there's that too. Okay, so there's the smoke in Rock Bay. Otherwise, things are looking pretty good right now. I've got no major crashes or problems on our major routes, and at BC Ferries, there are no sailing waits. 7 o'clock sailing from Swartz Bay to Swanson looks just fine. And for the weather forecast, it's pretty stable. We got just that mainly sunny sky. High at 22, maybe a little humidity in the air as well. Could be a bit of breeze off the Juan de Fuca Strait, which has also been pretty typical recently. So, yeah, very similar day to the last few days we've had. And on the markets, the opening bells have yet to ring for North America. So let's take a look at how things closed off last week and set us up for the week with Aaron Sousa.
Canada's main stock index closed higher on Friday. Toronto's S&P TSX up 244 points to 36,381. In New York, the Dow rose 151 points and the Nasdaq gained 342. Asian markets opened strong this morning. In Tokyo, the Nikkei jumped 2% and the Hang Seng in Hong Kong was up 1%. Our dollar is trading at around 71.77 cents US. Unifor begins contract talks today with General Motors, the union representing more than 4,600 Ontario auto workers. It comes after members last month ratified a 3-year deal, including pay raises with Ford. First Nations in BC are urging Ottawa and Alberta to rethink advancing the West Coast oil pipeline. The Union of BC Indian Chiefs says there's been a lack of good faith consultation on top of climate concerns. This after Ottawa took the first step last week to fast-track the project, and American clothing makers like Levi's and Uniqlo are offering in-store repairs and sewing workshops. From the Canadian Press Business Desk, I'm Aaron Sousa.
Ryan and Lisa are ready when you are.
Good morning.
Day or night, find the highlights under latest audio at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
So it's interesting. I've been trying to find the crowd size estimate for the David Foster concert that took place in Victoria's Inner Harbor on Saturday. Did anybody go? I'd love to hear from you at 71010, by the way. I went down there, and I don't know if I've seen quite a crowd like that, or at least not packed in like it was. It was both remarkable and kind of, difficult to move through, but it's still kind of neat to see.
I want to know if the lawn at the legislature actually made it. I want to know how it feels today.
Yeah, how's it feeling after that?
Does it need therapy?
Because one crowd estimate I've seen, this was referenced in the Times Colonist newspaper, they estimated upwards of 70,000 people gathering.
It's so spread out. That's the thing. It's
Yeah.
not like it's a concert arena that holds X amount of people. But if you look at that as an arena bowl, that could make sense.
Yeah, because it wasn't just on the legislature lawn.
Right.
It was crowded across the Empress lawn. There were people on the causeway. Well, some of the causeway was closed off for special seating, but they had just people everywhere. I went down with my kids.
Yes.
We took BC
braved
Transit.
it? Okay.
Thank you to BC Transit for letting us get down there without having to drive and
Nice
deal with
and
all of that.
smooth, yeah.
That went very well. We walked in just as the jets went overhead.
Oh,
that was cool.
That was loud.
That was my favorite part, actually, was because the snowbirds come first and they sound like the snowbirds, and we have seen the snowbirds very recently, just on last week where they went overhead, and you got a sense of them. But then you get the real fighter jets that went, and just the difference in size and volume was impressive. And I think bringing my kids down, I don't think they'd seen a CF-18 Hornet flyby before. They were shocked. This was my favorite part. Car alarms started going off.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah, they rattled the cars, and car alarms went off.
And they weren't even, they were low, but can you imagine?
Yeah.
Like if they were crop dusters? Terrifying.
Yeah, really.
Now, do they go right back to Cold Lake, or do they
I wasn't sure
Fuel up
exactly.
its shell and then take off again.
There was the Abbotsford Air Show going on, so I don't know.
They came over from Abbotsford.
I know the snowbirds did. The snowbirds were there. I don't know about the hornets.
Takes them like 5 minutes to get over.
Yeah, I'm sure.
They're
That's fast.
and they're loud.
I mean, they could get from Cold Lake and back, I'm sure. But
right.
If anybody knows, feel free to text me at 71010.
How does it work?
Yeah.
What's the G-force?
Tell me about it. Were you in that CF18? Text me at 71010. No, and then the concert itself is, as much as it was a crush of people, one thing I did notice is I don't know if it was quite ready. Whatever they did to prepare for this, I don't think the little, access corridors they put together were quite ready to handle, if it's true, the upwards of 70,000 people who came down.
Were they not accessible?
Well, yeah, there'd be these little laneways
right.
sort of for people to move.
Belleville usually was pretty open.
Yeah, but they would be just so jammed with people trying to move in both directions that it would just come to a standstill and you'd be stuck in this crush of people, which got a little tense at times as people kind of lost their patience with it.
Well, Victoria's not used to that, too. No. We're not used to those kind of New York crowds.
Yeah, it was, So it was something. But then, once you got through it, me and the kids and the wife, we managed to get...
Once the kids were traumatized fully.
They were a little bit put off by the crush of people. But once we got through it, we found a spot. We could, we didn't have a great sight line to the barge itself, but they had those big screens set up, which were wonderful, so you could hear it. The concerts, the music was fantastic. Again, thinking about it from my kids' perspective, a lot of these are not acts they are familiar with. They're a little before their time. But you still had these moments like during Josh Groban's fantastic performance. The 70,000 people with their cell phone lights up swaying.
So
that
cool.
was neat to see. You had the CeeLo Green, who was the big closing moment other than the fireworks and the drone show.
Yes.
He has this famous song which the chorus is basically a swear word, which I will not say here.
For on air, it's Forget You.
That's how he changed it for the radio version.
For radio, so it actually gets some radio airplay.
It's a different F word.
It's a different F word, yeah.
But so
F word.
when it came to that part, he just simply turned the microphone to the crowd. Where again, 70,000 people all sang the words for him. And that was, I got to say, I loved that. And my kids thought that was funny because they didn't even know this song because again, it's a little before their time. But all of a sudden,
never heard of it. Okay.
Here's 70,000 people shouting a swear word, which is kind of fun when you're a kid. All these adults going crazy shouting
Good thing
swear
they're not
words.
going back to school on Monday, huh?
Yeah. I thought, and then the fireworks I've never seen in Victoria's Harbour. Our Canada Day fireworks are not usually to that level. I thought that was quite the thing. The drone show was cool. It was, in my opinion, just neat to see this really crazily well pulled off event with a huge crowd. Victoria's Inner Harbor was just a beautiful sight for this. And there were 3 cruise ships in at that time. I wondered how many people who were there were people who just happened to get off the bus from the cruise ship into downtown Victoria.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what is this?
Right. And you happen upon this magnificent concert with all the trimmings. You win. Because we had three cruise ships in, I think, that day.
Yeah, there were.
So you're looking at 10,000 people at least.
Yeah. Just also kind of in the mix there.
Yeah. Wow.
What were your thoughts? Did you experience it? Did you go down? 71010. I'd love to hear from you.
What you like, what you didn't like.
I do have one texter saying at 71010, my hubby and I went to the concert. It was fabulous. I'd say at least well over 50,000. Love the music. Love the snowbirds. And the CF18s. Man, were they loud. Yep.
Yeah,
that
were
was cool.
Huge. I was surprised at how loud they really were. So it'd been a while. I actually grew up in Cold Lake.
Yeah. So you're familiar.
Oh, I know, but I'd forgotten.
Yeah. Well, I've got way more people weighing in. Let's get to some more texts in just a few moments. I'd love your review. What did you think of the whole thing? Or maybe the gala. Maybe did you see Meghan and Harry? The royals were in town on the Friday gala night.
And shoulders and everything with them.
And then real Canadian royalty. Nickelback's Chad Kroeger was there too. So did you see them?
He's like, no, but you want that because of the guitar.
There you go.
Prowess, right?
Yeah. Anyways, we'll get to your thoughts. 71010. Man, it's your first day back, Lisa, and I've already made you 4 minutes late for the news.
For good reason.
But it's fun to catch up.
We're just chatting here.
Well, but anyways, what is going on?
We'll talk wildfires, of course. It's our top story today because a community west of Summerlin, one of the first overrun by the Bald Range wildfire that claimed one life. A senior died and forced more than 20,000 residents around Okanagan Lake to flee. Some crazy videos coming out of people escaping in their vehicles with flames burning on either sides of the road. Really, really tenuous situation. evacuations. Terrifying, actually. The BC Wildfire Service says that fire alone is 136 square kilometres burning out of control on the outskirts of Summerland. About 10,000 homes are under evacuation order in Summerland, Peachland, the regional districts of Okanagan, Similkameen, and Central Okanagan, and on Penticton Indian Band lands. More than 3,200 homes are subject to a lower level evacuation alert, but of course that could change depending on what the fire does. The Federal Emergency Management Minister says she has approved a request for federal assistance to provide accommodation and shelter for those forced to flee. The Wildfire Service says late Sunday that crews had seen fire behavior increase in the evening to rank 4, meaning a highly vigorous surface fire and lower activity throughout the day. We'll keep you posted on how that changes with updates coming through the day. Across the pond in Europe, the UK and France are preparing for another heat wave as Western Europe sets new temperature records. Both countries have put out heat-related warnings as temperatures are forecast to climb to 36 Celsius later this week. Across Europe, the extreme heat began in May and has contributed to major fires, prolonged drought, and new national temperature records, as well as thousands of projected heat-related deaths. Globally, climate statistics show that so far, this is the third hottest year on record behind 2024 and last year, although this year still has time to catch up. And RCMP east of Vancouver warning about an aggressive bear in the city after a report it attacked a 3-year-old girl outside her family home. Police say an adult black bear attacked the child in her backyard deck in Maple Ridge. The girl was flown to hospital. She's being treated for non-life-threatening injuries. Police say the bear returned to the area several times, and officers at one point made the decision to shoot it, but it fled into a wooded area. Conservation officers are now helping to track that animal. They're reminding people to stay indoors and report sightings. So some tense times in the Maple Ridge area this morning. That is your news to 621.
Texter at 71010 on the David Foster event on Saturday says it was all great. Everybody around us was friendly, polite, and behaved, making for a relaxed and enjoyable time. Great review. Many texts coming in. We're going to get to more of those in just a moment. I'd love to hear about your experiences over the weekend. Really kind of a once-in-a-lifetime thing. I mean, we've seen big things in the Inner Harbor, but we probably won't see that exact thing again. It was neat to see. But we've also got to catch up with the Junior A Shamrocks. They are moving on to the big one, to the Minto Cup. And we're going to be talking to General Manager Rod Wade as well in just a moment. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by CUPE Vancouver Island, working to deliver the public services island communities rely on. CUPE, better services, better communities. For traffic and weather, we're looking pretty clear right now for the roads. No crashes, no accidents. We might have a fender. Actually, I just said no crashes, no accidents, but I'm wrong. I'm just seeing, as we speak, a text coming in about a potential fender bender on the Trans-Canada Highway. This is before Lee Road. So as you're kind of coming along in towards Victoria, and just before you start to hit the Lee Road interchange, there seems to be a slowdown there. If you have any further updates, you can text me at 71010. I'd appreciate it. For the weather forecast, a mainly sunny day, a little bit of breeze off the Juan de Fuca Strait, and a high to hit about 22 degrees. Right now, it is 12 degrees.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Well, we'll keep... start that again. We're going to keep reading your text messages at 71010, reviewing the David Foster Foundation events over the weekend. But that wasn't the only thing going on over the weekend. There were some huge lacrosse games for both the senior Shamrocks, but also the junior Shamrocks, who had a massive game on Saturday, winning their game, sending them to the Minto Cup for the first time since 2022. Here to talk about it, I got the general manager of the Junior A Shamrocks, Rod Wade. How you doing, sir?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
Congratulations. That's huge news after the win. Why don't you tell us about what happened on Saturday?
Yeah, it was great. We really went tough to win on the road in Coquitlam. They're just such a talented group. They've been the back-to-back Minto Cup champs. So when we went into their building and won Game 5, we just had a golden opportunity to win it at home in front of our family and friends and all the fans in Victoria. And we didn't win in regulation, but to win it in thrilling fashion in overtime was super special, something that, everybody that was there, players, fans, all our management will remember for a very long time. It was great.
Yeah, 11-10 against Coquitlam in that Game 6 on Saturday night. And you move on to the Minto Cup, and you haven't been there for a little while. Talk about how long it's been since you've been to the big final.
Like you said, it was last time was at 2022. They're back there in Brampton. Things didn't go that well for the club. My middle boy was on the team then, and I was hoping to go out for the playoffs. And my daughter got married on the weekend, so I couldn't make the round robin games. So when I was on the ferry, they lost in overtime to Edmonton, and I didn't even get off the boat. I just I went over and came back. So we're hoping for different results in this tournament, and I know our boys and our coaches and all that. We're ready to go, and we're super excited.
So talk about the Minto Cup this year. What's the setup here? Where's it going to be? Who are you playing? Do you know that yet?
Yep. It was all 4 teams were decided last night. The Ontario team was decided. It'll be St. Catharines. They hosted the Minto Cup last year, so they'll be the Ontario representative. The host is Okotoks Raiders, and the Calgary Mountaineers will be the other team because it's in Alberta. In Calgary, they get two teams competing, and then we'll be the 4th. So we open up Sunday night against the host, 8 o'clock at the Max Bell Center, and we'll be ready to go. How are the
kids feeling about it?
Good. Yeah, they're jacked up. So it's an exciting time for them. Like as everybody knows, we got the Minto Cup bid and coming here in Victoria, but we have 9 fifth-years on the team, so they're not going to be a part of that Minto Cup in 2027. So those 9 boys, those 5th-years, they just played so hard. It was their last opportunity to get to the Minto Cup. So we have great leaders like Luca Bavetta and Grayson Thompson and Grayson Beggs and just the whole rest of the 5th-year groups. Ryan Lowe, they just put on a great effort Saturday afternoon and led us to victory.
That's amazing. Junior Shamrocks with the win on Saturday that sends them to the Minto Cup. It's the big Junior A lacrosse final competition, which will begin, like you said, next weekend. We'll be following it here. And also, great news, at the same weekend, we had the senior Shamrocks also get their series win and move on to the final in the WLA. So a great weekend for lacrosse.
Yes, it was great. I think the next series for the seniors will start next Saturday. We're still waiting to see if it's going to be the Coquitlam Adamacs or the Maple Ridge Burrards. Coquitlam's up right now 2-1, so they can wrap it up with the next game, and we'll be playing that we'll play Game 1 at the Q Center.
Rod Wade is the Junior A Shamrocks general manager. Great to talk to you. Good luck, and hey, if this thing keeps rolling, let's talk again soon about how it's going.
Yeah, I hope so. Thanks again for reaching out.
Yeah, no worries. Cheers. That's awesome. Yeah, great result for some local lacrosse this weekend. Did you check that out? Or did you check out the Big David Foster Foundation event on Saturday? Or maybe you went to the gala on Friday. I'd love to hear about it. We got a lot of text messages at 71010, people reviewing their experience. We're going to get back to that in just a moment, right after the 6:30 news.
You've heard the chaos. Now you can see it. Oh my God. Watch all your favorite podcasts from start to finish right inside the free iHeartRadio app.
Gets the blood going up.
Catch every laugh and eye roll on shows like the Tom Green Farmcast and Park the Bus. Now with full video.
We're building a ramp for Tony Hawk.
It's the same hosts and the same chemistry with all the hilarious moments you've been missing right on your screen.
Cheers.
Open the free iHeartRadio app, search video podcasts, and tap watch.
CFAX Victoria,
An iHeartRadio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning, 6:32 on this Monday, August the 10th. Another mostly sunny day. Few clouds. Right now, 12 degrees. Full forecast to come. Right now, the news begins, and here is Lisa Best.
Watching the fires on the mainland, 104 wildfires continue to burn across BC. 46 considered out of control here on Vancouver Island. We have one small fire that started yesterday. It's crew making quick work of it. It's just north of Port Alberni. It is considered under control, but that's a far cry of where we're at on the mainland. The province declaring a state of emergency over the wildfire situation as of Saturday. Hillside near Summerlin remains scorched. The trees engulfed in flames. The mayor of Summerlin says structures have been lost in the Bald Range fire, but it's too soon to take a tally because it remains an active fire zone. Doug Holmes says he wasn't too concerned when he first learned on Friday that the fire was burning 15 kilometers away, but that changed quickly and thousands were forced to evacuate. He says he was impressed on how the communities banded together, noting it's clear that structures have been lost to the flames. Holmes says the tally is not yet available because it's an active zone, but he says the community is united and will rebuild. Hillside near Summerland was scorched. In nearby Peachland, evacuation orders are still in effect. Peachland's Mayor Patrick Van Minsel.
And it's in the best interest of our residents that they have everything ready at the door or in the car and at a moment's notice can go.
Van Minsel says his community was fortunate as many homes were spared so far, but no one is allowed to return home just yet. In the face of continued trade talks, new polling shows the federal Liberals have opened their largest lead over the Conservatives in 5 months. Liaison Strategies says Mark Carney's government now has a 13-point lead, 44% support, compared to the Conservatives at 31%. Voters continue to give Carney a strong approval rating at 57% compared to Pierre Poilievre at 34%. 53% of those polled say they actually disapprove of Pierre Poilievre. Bad travelers come in all sizes, shapes, and ages. Apparently, Porter Airlines now apologizing after a flight was canceled last week after a child refused to sit down and buckle up.
An airline spokesman says in an email that its plane left the terminal in Victoria on Thursday and was headed to the runway for departure to Toronto. However, a young child was standing in their seat and would not secure their seatbelt. In what the airline calls an unsafe situation, the crew elected to return to the terminal and have the two passengers disembark. It added that the time needed to bridge the aircraft, deplane the duo, retrieve baggage, and submit new flight plans meant it was too late to depart since the runway closes at 12:30 a.m. Passengers had to wait for another flight later the next day. Don Mitchell, the Canadian Press.
And that is your news to 6:35. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question. We're asking, have you started back to school shopping and preparations? Over 90% saying no. You can vote at CFAX1070.com. Also, the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa, best your news time, 6:36.
Well, what's going on with our text messages? People are talking about their experience with the Foster concert on Saturday. This texter at 71010 says, we decided to book a room at the Delta Marriott in April, and all the hotels were fully booked by then for the David Foster Foundation concert.
Wow.
It was too far to see the performers, but we recognized Josh Groban's voice.
How could you not?
We met the three F-18 pilots in the elevator, so they must have been local. Interesting.
That's what they do for fun in their downtime.
Yeah.
Take the elevator.
I thought they were snowbird pilots. When asked, one said they were F-18s. So
Cool.
when they zoomed over twice, the feeling was awesome. We had the full view of the drones, the fireworks, the most beautiful I have ever seen. We watched it with some cheese and a bottle of pink champagne. That's
Wow,
cool.
that's civilized.
You know what? When we were coming in, because we got off the bus over by the John Street Bridge and then sort of walked in, you could look across to where the Delta Ocean Point is and the waterfront there, and there were people lined up there as well, which was cool.
Okay.
More of your texts, more of your experiences. We're going to share more of those in just a second. But right now, to the sports. And hey, we were talking about the Junior A Shamrocks a moment ago because we had the general manager, Rod Wade, on because they've booked their ticket to the Minto Cup with a win on Saturday. Texter says, I just want to say congratulations to the Junior A Shamrocks. I was a member of the 2004 team that made a Minto Cup run and lost against Burnaby in the finals. I didn't realize in my early 20s how meaningful yet fleeting that opportunity was. Enjoy it, men. Savor it. These memories will be with you for the rest of your lives. So proud of you all. That's a great text message. Thanks for sending that in. And yeah, this current crop of Junior A Shamrocks will get to have that meaningful yet fleeting moment, like you mentioned. Oh, that's cool. What else is going on in sports? The Nanaimo Night Owls are into their playoffs. And the way that the West Coast League playoffs works, they're going to play a bunch of just games against different teams. I don't know if this is like a round robin kind of thing. I don't know precisely how they call it. But they did play a series against the Bellingham Bells. There was a 17-4 loss for the Night Owls yesterday. And they lost Saturday's game. They won Friday's game. So they won one out of the three games, but it's not over. They do go on to play another series against the Kelowna Falcons now as the playoffs roll on for Nanaimo. In the majors, Blue Jays 3.5 games back of an American League wildcard berth opened a critical 4-game series tonight against the Boston Red Sox. And the Seattle Mariners were in action yesterday, losing 4-1 to the Tampa Bay Rays, wrapping up a series sweep at T-Mobile Park. That's your CFAX 1070 Sports to 6:39. Hey, CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Bluebird Cabs. If you need a cab, download the new Bluebird Cabs app at Bluebird Cabs LTD. They're proudly local and Canadian-owned and run since 1946. So the traffic situation right now is a crash on the Trans-Canada Highway heading in towards Victoria just before you hit the Lee Road interchange. Texter here at 71010 giving me the latest just a few moments ago saying traffic not moving on the highway going south. I'm not moving just by Lee Road. So that is still an active situation. Whatever's happened there, some kind of fender bender, is causing a southbound delay. For BC Ferries, no sailing weights for the weather. We are looking at a mix of sun and cloud today. A little breeze off the water. Highs at 22, maybe feeling a little more humid as well. That is pretty much the forecast we've been in for a couple of days and will continue to be for a couple of days ahead. We're into a fairly stable stretch of summer weather.
The best way to start an island morning. Ryan and Lisa on CFAX 1070.
Yeah, some of the estimates I'm seeing here suggest upwards of 70,000 people were around the Inner Harbor area of Victoria for the David Foster event on the weekend, and we're hearing about your experiences at 71010. Got another text message here saying, "Good morning, Ryan and Lisa. I went down to the Inner Harbor with friends and kids. We sat on the fake green grass by the Flying Otter. We were in the perfect place for the fireworks. We could barely hear the music from there, but it was a great time. It's too bad the city didn't plan better transportation. We walked with kids from the Inner Harbor to Esquimalt because there were no buses. That was not good planning. It was fun, though. Thanks from Hillary with one L." Thank you, Hillary, with one L. Now, I got lucky with the buses.
Same area, yeah.
I got lucky with the buses. So here's what happened with me. So we left the legislature lawn, and we decided to go the long way, so we didn't go right down the kind of, government in Belleville and that area. We walked behind the legislature and then around to Douglas Street because we thought we don't want to be in that crush of people. And by the time we got through there, we were able to catch a bus. Maybe it's because we were just taking a little bit longer to get there, but we were the last ones who got onto this packed bus, though.
Oh, okay.
Like
buses were at capacity.
Yeah, we were seeing every bus stop we would see was just it was almost like a mini David Foster crowd right there, cramming the street, waiting to get on a bus. So I do see that. Wow. We got lucky. We got on the bus, I guess, but we were the last ones, and then people got left behind. This texter at 71010 says, "I chose to go to a reception for a wedding instead of the David Foster event. It was amazing. Just before the couple cut their cake, the CF-18s flew overhead. And the snowbirds went overhead. Very special day for that couple."
And the couple got to say, "We planned that."
Yeah, that was just in time for our cake cutting. Oh, that's amazing. This texter says, "The other thing that impressed me was the crowd when leaving. There was no pushing or shoving. People saying thank you to Vic PD when leaving." Yeah, that was really nice, actually. I felt like it was a very positive, chill crowd that emptied out of there.
Okay.
Like I said, we tried to duck around the side. But
it was a feel-good event, too. So people are leaving in a pretty good mood, even though you're not getting anywhere fast.
Yeah. This texter says, "What were the bathroom lineups like?" Now, I got so lucky. One of my biggest fears was that one of my kids would be like, "I got to go to the bathroom."
Right.
And I'd be like, there's no chance of us moving beyond this little spot we found. We are not getting out of here. Luckily, it never happened, so I never had to wait in the bathroom lineup. We went to a little coffee shop that was open afterwards and, bought some drinks and used the washrooms. Yeah. Yeah, I got lucky with the kids. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I can't answer that. This texter at 71010 says, "The one word I'd describe the David Foster concert with is magical. The music was amazing, and to have the beautiful backdrop of the Empress Hotel and the legislature was simply breathtaking, but they definitely needed more porta potties." Well, maybe that answers the first texter's question.
Yeah, and how do you do porta potties for 70,000 people?
Yeah, I know. I saw that there were porta potties. Okay. I just don't know what the experience was like in them.
Probably not good. A porta potty experience, they try hard.
They do.
But it's just something you got to get done and get over.
This texter says, "World-class event. I'm very proud of Victoria." That's from Dawn. And then Anita texting says, "We took our chairs down at 6 a.m. Wow.
A lot of people did that. I had friends that did that. They went first thing or they went early afternoon at the very latest to stake out the best place. But some people went as soon as the roads were closed. They went down and made sure that they laid their claim to a spot. And kudos to people for respecting that, too.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to move people's chairs. It's sort of that festival seating, where you just honor it. If someone's chairs are there, don't move them.
Well, Anita with the chairs says that they left the chairs at 6, went back at 6 p.m., worked out for them. The whole event was beyond spectacular, says Anita. Thank you for that.
Oh.
And one other thing I wanted to talk about, this is just one of my experiences, and I was curious about this, and maybe some other people were too. Just as we were about to leave the house to get on a bus to go downtown, I was starting to hear the jets. You could hear them.
Right.
And I was like, oh no, we're missing it. There it is.
Warming up.
But then I kept hearing it. And I was like, well, why am I hearing the jets circling? What's going on here? According to this Times Colonist article I found, written by Mike Devlin, the entertainment reporter, he always does great work. He got the scoop there. He says that there was some sort of power issue at the barge at the performance area, which slightly delayed the beginning of the concert. So the fighter jets had to kind of like stall and circle while they got the things sorted on the barge before they could do the coordinated, flyover with whatever was happening on the stage. So if you were wondering why were you hearing the jets for quite a while before the actual flyover, apparently that's the answer.
Because I did hear that too, and then they did start late, about 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's apparently there's some kind of power issue.
So it was just a holding pattern.
They obviously got sorted, but I thought that was a good little tidbit. There you go. That's the text messages so far, but keep them coming. If you want to share your experiences, I'd love to hear from you. Right now at 6:46, what else is happening? Let's get the news from Lisa.
I don't know if you mentioned it, Ryan, but you mentioned about the accident, the fender bender on the TCH.
Yeah.
They're actually saying it's a deer.
Yeah, I see there's a text message just coming in.
Yeah.
There's a hurt deer, and they're trying to figure out how to get it dealt with. So that's what's happening just as you approach Lee Road on the Trans-Canada heading in towards Victoria. So watch out for a slowdown there.
And they are saying he's in the fast lane.
Okay.
That was about 5 minutes back, so just be aware. There's possibly an injured animal on the road. BC wildfire update. We have 104 wildfires burning, 46 considered out of control at this hour. 3 new starts in the last 24 hours, including a small new fire just north of Port Alberni. That considered under control. We have 3 fires burning, either under control or being held. One being held here on the island, but of course, it's not the state in Summerlin, the Peachland area, feeling for people who've been evacuated from their homes. Some will not have homes to go back to. The province declaring a provincial state of emergency on Saturday, saying property losses in that area are significant. A 7.4 magnitude earthquake has struck Colombia. The USGS says it happened early this morning in the province of Chaco. Local officials say there are injuries and significant damage across the region. There's concerns about aftershocks in the area as well. El Nino could bring the highest sea levels ever recorded to the Southern California coast. That means the West Coast in general. So our king tides might be that and more. Mark Merrifield is the director of the UC San Diego Scripps Institution of Oceanics Center for Climate Change Impact based on NASA satellite imagery. He says sea levels are already more than half a foot higher in the Eastern Pacific compared to the reference state. Warmer water pushes the sea level higher because the water expands as temperature rises. Scientists also say data from past years shows El Nino events contribute to enormously strong waves. That is your headline news to 6:48.
We'll keep our eyes on this Trans-Canada Highway deer incident, traffic and weather coming up next. And then Fiona's back.
Yay.
We're going to get into the garden in just a moment.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island.
Experience Victoria Fringe Fest, August 26th through September 6th. Feel the roar at Pacific FC. Get your tickets today at cplsoccer.com. West Shore Swap Shop and Market is at Rally at Royal Bay every Sunday. Support Goldstream Food Bank with a $2 admission or a food donation.
Get more event info at cfax1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. The problem right now on the roads is if you're coming down the Trans-Canada Highway in towards Victoria, just before the Lee Road overpass, there is a deer hurt on the highway that they're trying to figure out how to deal with, and it is slowing things up. Again, that's just the one direction heading in towards Victoria. If you have any updates, you can text me at 71010. Yeah, but right now that's the biggest challenge on your commute. No waits at BC Ferries. We have mainly sunny skies for the weather forecast. Right now it's 12 degrees, eventually heading towards a high of 22. Could be a little cooler by the windy Wandafuka Straits, but it could also feel a little warmer with some humidity in the air, so it's another one of those days. A few clouds tonight, lows down to 12.
Getting into the garden.
Well, this ought to be good.
It's very creative. With Ryan and Lisa.
Wow.
Oh, it's great to get Fiona back on the radio talking gardening after a couple of weeks off. It's been a busy time for everybody, but we got to touch base while we can because Fiona, winter is coming. You want to talk about winter today?
I know. I'm so sorry to do this to you and everybody else. But yes, it's time to talk about winter, Ryan.
Why is it time to talk about winter? It's August.
Because we have the privilege of living in coastal British Columbia, where we can actually get stuff started now that will hold through the winter months. It grows a little bit in the winter, but not a ton. So we can sow things now that if we are organized, they'll be waiting for us in the winter garden. And that is super exciting on a number of levels. One, we're not living in Toronto trying to dig it out of a meter of snow. I love my family in Toronto, by the way. Hi, Tanya. And the other reason is a lot of these winter vegetables, they last through the winter months here on the coast because they add sugar to their cells, which is like a natural antifreeze. So anyone who's pulled a beet or a carrot or a parsnip from their backyard garden in winter here and eaten it knows how much better it tastes. And one of the reasons it tastes so much better than, say, a carrot that's been grown in the Central Valley in California and shipped up here is that sugar is a natural antifreeze. So if a plant cell has water in it, what temperature is it going to freeze at?
0. Well,
yes.
If it's water, but if it's sugar water, it's less than that, right?
Exactly. So say you have a 9% sugar solution, which is plenty, that might freeze at minus 15, minus 20. So there's the incentive. But you got to plant now. And actually, it's Monday already, and we're running out of time to plant our winter veggies. So you got to get onto it.
Now, let's talk about what are the top winter veggies you recommend that people plant? The ones that you'd want to sow right now to get ready for the winter. What ones do you recommend?
Well, for root vegetables, obviously carrots are a favorite. And something like a Scarlet Nantes variety is very nice. They have, you can get cored ones or coreless ones, but Scarlet Nantes generally is very good. And I wouldn't pick a carrot that is really large. Like Scarlet Nantes is a nice medium size, so it tends to hold well even if the winter gets colder. Parsnips, excellent choice. I think a much maligned and underappreciated vegetable, I've got to say. So if you haven't tried parsnips before, please plant parsnips. They're lovely. Beets, very good choice as well. For plants that are above ground, where you'd eat the more aerial parts, I would say chard and kale are probably our biggest ones. Things like arugula, you can still sow a little bit during the winter months and they will grow slowly. And of course, we have our wonderful native miner's lettuce, which if you plant that in September, October, it will be producing nicely for you generally around February as a salad green. Oh, and radicchio. Gosh, endives and radicchios. Again, underappreciated vegetables. Love them.
I want to go back to miner's lettuce because you've brought this up in our conversations before, and I always love dwelling on that because it's something I think not a lot of people are aware of. So take me through miner's lettuce again and what it is.
Yes, so Claytonia lanceolata. It is a native plant. It greens out in the wintertime here and goes dormant for the summer months. And it's very nutritious. It's very frost and cold tolerant. I've seen it growing underneath snow when it melts. It forms a nice kind of ground cover as well. And it's just delicious. And it's a super cute little vegetable, too. You have these little spade-shaped leaves on long stems. It's crunchy, too. And then eventually you have the flowers that come out of the leaves turn into kind of a little green bowl, and then the flowers come out of the middle of that. So it's pretty as well.
Now, it doesn't necessarily look like a traditional lettuce. Do you just sort of snip it all off and throw it in a salad bowl, or what do you do with it?
Yeah, exactly.
Really? Okay. What does it taste like?
It tastes kind of lettucey, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a very neutral taste, but it's a nice taste. It's not a taste you would have to learn to love. And when the stems get really long, they stay tender. So it doesn't get stringy or bitter.
So you can eat the stems, so you can cut the whole thing off and eat it like that.
Yeah. And obviously, if you prune it rather than whacking the whole thing down, it's probably going to last a bit longer for you.
So miner's lettuce, it's native. That's so cool. And it's probably not something everybody's familiar with. Maybe it's something to try in your winter garden. So you'd want to seed that now, just like all the other things you talked about?
No. That you want to put in the fall. So
it can wait.
October.
Okay.
Yeah, because the seeds are going to lie dormant until it gets cool and wet enough.
Oh.
The other stuff you definitely want to seed now. And things like radicchio and kale, chard, you could seed those in some seeding trays where you have a bit more control over keeping them somewhat cool and moist. You don't want to plant stuff out now that's going to get baked in your garden. So you might want to, if you do need to direct seed, you might want to consider putting some agricultural cloth like rime, that white fabric that we talked about, on top of it, or even an old cotton bed sheet also works, just to keep some moisture in the soil. And that's the irony. I think it's actually quite hot, but these are cool season plants.
Well, there we go. Winter gardening. Start thinking about some of it right now if you want to get some of that stuff in the ground. Things like carrots, like you said, parsnips. You've got other things like radicchios and what was the other one you said? Endives?
Endives. Yeah, bitter is one of these things that we don't get that flavor a lot in our cuisine, yet it's so good for you, and it's popular in lots of other cuisines. So I would encourage people to learn to like bitter. It's good for your blood, it's good for your liver, it's good for your microbiome. And if you do learn to like the taste, I actually really like a bitter salad. If you think you want to eat more bitter things, but you just can't get your head around it, and it's kind of an effort, what you can do is just sprinkle a little bit of sugar into your salad dressing, and sugar will trigger a positive response in your brain where you will learn to like that taste and then just eventually reduce and get rid of the sugar.
Well, some folks out there drinking their black coffee will be thinking, yes, I agree with Fiona. Well, we're going to leave it there for now because we're out of time. But Fiona, there we go, our gardening chat. And I believe you're going to be adventuring over the next couple of weeks. So we'll try to reach out to you. But hopefully we'll talk soon.
Yeah, I'm off working for Maple Leaf Adventures. They're a small ecotourism company based out of Victoria. Amazing folks to work for, and I'm super excited because this time I get to go and work with my kid, who's the deckhand, and I'm working as the naturalist.
You're the naturalist on a ship going up and down the coast. I would love to talk to you about what you're doing, so we're going to try to reach out for our next chat, maybe from a ship, okay?
Okay, that would be fun.
Awesome. Okay, hopefully talk then.
Okay, thanks, Ryan.
We'll take a break. We've got a collision involving a deer on the Trans-Canada Highway, slowing things up southbound just before Lee Road. We'll talk about that in traffic, and we got your news with Lisa next.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It is 7 o'clock on Monday, August 10th. If you're driving down the Trans-Canada Highway, there has been a collision this morning or something involving a deer. There's an injured deer on the highway. It's just before you hit the Lee Road interchange. It's slowing things up still. If you have any updates, text us at 71010. What else is going on? Here's the 7 o'clock news with Lisa Best.
Fires in focus today. BC Wildfire Update has 104 fires burning across our province, 46 considered out of control. There's been 3 new starts in the last 24 hours, including a new fire burning just north of Port Alberni. That one already considered under control, so crews are making good work of that. The province declared a provincial state of emergency on Saturday, saying property losses are significant in the mainland, especially in the Summerland region. With the fire burning out of control in that region, thousands of people evacuated. Firesmoke.ca website showing smoke from more than 100 fires on the BC mainland, and about 50 burning in Washington and Oregon are burning away from Vancouver Island today. A wildfire emergency out west in the West U.S., nearly 100 uncontained fires burning, with the smoke and heat creating unsafe air breathing throughout the region in the States. ABC's Kena Whiteworth is in the fire zone in Burbank, California.
Nearly 100 large fires burning nationwide, scorching more than 3 million acres as exhausted firefighters race to contain the flames. Most of them in the West, nearly 50 in Oregon and Washington alone, while evacuations are being ordered near Reno, Nevada, as the bug fire torched more than 15,000 acres over the weekend.
A water crisis in Puerto Rico is getting worse amid a severe drought, with government imposing water rationing at this point. The emergency made worse by decades of decaying infrastructure and a history of natural disasters. The island dealing with extreme heat and fire risk.
In San Juan and other cities, hundreds of thousands of residents having their water supply cut off 48 hours at a time. Tankers being used by the government to deliver much-needed water throughout the territory. We asked Sonia Maldonado Renta how many times a day she fills these plastic bottles. Morning, noon, and afternoon, all the time. This is unbelievable. We're in a developing country.
In federal politics, there's calls for the Prime Minister to grow a backbone. This from the Conservatives amid continued crucial trade talks with the U.S. Those comments came from Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre over the weekend. As we learned, Canadian officials are considering new concessions, like ditching provincial bans on U.S. booze, in an effort to avoid Donald Trump's latest 50% tariff threats, which are to take effect on August 19th. CTV's Michael Serapio has the latest details.
Poilievre writing, "Our message is clear. We want the win and the good deal you promised 15 months ago. Canadians deserve a government that has the backbone to fight for our workers, our families, and every inch of our sovereignty. But it's unclear if free trade is even possible. For the past year, U.S. officials have been very adamant.
We are committed to continuing to use tariffs.
At this point, I think it'd be better off just essentially accepting where we're at with the U.S. and moving on.
Canada's U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc is headed back to Washington, D.C. today for more negotiations after spending most of last week there as well, trying to hammer something out. A collection of ultra-rare Nintendo game cartridges is about to go in the auction block.
When someone brought in a box containing 97 Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt NES cartridges, the owner of One Shop Wonders in Waukesha, Wisconsin, was thrilled and confused.
These were printed about 2 years after the last known printing of these games.
Jason Ganos runs a site called Nintendo Wire.
Nobody has ever seen these specific carts before.
Made in 1993, the games look brand new. They may fetch millions at an auction that starts tomorrow. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
And a new radio station broadcasting the sounds of Seattle. Some of the residents there.
Ballard resident Chris Mills has launched the online radio station SeaLionRadio.org. It broadcasts the sounds of Ballard's sea lions across the world 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's not a live stream, but rather a continuous loop of about 6 hours worth of sea lion sounds recorded by Mills. Mills says he just loves the sound of sea lions and wanted to share it with the world. I'm Monica Nelson.
It's the new fire station. You know, instead of watching the fire burn in your hearse, you get to listen to the Seattle sea lions.
At least it's not seagulls. I don't think I could handle a seagull radio station.
Careful what you wish for, because it just could. They're probably in there anyways, because they're everywhere, right?
That's true. They're in the background somewhere.
It's pretty cool. Anyways, if you want to listen to it, it is sealionradio.org. That's your news to 7:05. Our CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. We don't want to think about back to school. At least the kids don't, but we're getting there. Have you begun your shopping and preparations for it? Over 90% say no, it's too soon. You can vote at CFAX1070.com, also the iHeartRadio app. I'm Lisa Best, your news time 7:07.
Thank you, Lisa. We're still dealing with a slowdown on the Trans-Canada Highway heading in towards Victoria just before Lee Road. There was a deer injured on the highway earlier this morning. I'm not sure if it's cleared up or not yet, but I do still see a slowdown. If you have any updates, you can text us at 71010. Over to the CFAX 1070 Sports. Lots going on locally over the weekend. I just want to catch you up. We'll start with last night's action for the Nanaimo Night Owls, who lost the first series of their playoffs, but they do carry on. They just had 3 games against the Bellingham Bells. Last night, a 17-4 loss for the Nanaimo Night Owls in their first ever playoff run. They also lost Saturday's game, but Nanaimo winning the opener on Friday. So they took one of the 3 games, and now they go on to take on the Kelowna Falcons for another series in the playoffs. Locally as well, we saw the Junior A Shamrocks on Saturday with a thrilling 11-10 overtime win over the Coquitlam Junior Adnax. This was Game 6, and with that win, Junior A Shamrocks clinched the BCJALL Championship, punched their ticket to the Minto Cup, which is going to be going on in Calgary starting next weekend. We were talking to Rod Wade, Junior A Shamrocks general manager, earlier this morning, and he talked about the thrilling way to win it in overtime.
But to win it in thrilling fashion in overtime was super special, something that, everybody that was there, players, fans, all their management will remember for a very long time. It was great.
Yeah, so they will be off to Alberta for the Minto Cup, which begins on the weekend. Toronto Blue Jays, 3.5 games back of an American League wildcard berth, opening a critical 4-game series tonight against the Boston Red Sox. Seattle Mariners losing 4-1 to Tampa Bay yesterday. And in soccer, Inter Miami star and captain Lionel Messi stepping away from League's Cup group play after heartbreaking news that his father has passed away.
Messi was granted compassionate leave to fly to Argentina to attend the funeral and burial of Jorge Messi, who died at 68 from a prolonged illness. The team held a moment of silence prior to Saturday's kickoff, which Inter lost 2-1 to CF Monterrey. Now, Inter Miami is on the cusp of elimination from the 2026 Leagues Cup, with 1 match remaining on the schedule. It's not clear when Messi will return to the club. I'm Michael Kastner.
That's your sports to 7:09. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. We've been dealing with a collision with a deer on the Trans-Canada Highway, just as Trans-Canada Highway southbound just before Lee Road interchange. Not sure the latest, if the deer is still on the highway. I do know, though, that the slowdown is still there, so it's still a bit slow as you come down, again, in towards Victoria just before Lee Road. Backed up a little past the West Shore Parkway intersection, actually, so you're going to start to encounter the slowdown even before you get to that Lee Road spot. So give me an update if you happen to go by it, and you can do so hands-free. Everything else is looking fine this morning. No waits at BC Ferries, and the weather forecast looks very much like the last couple of days. Mainly sunny, few clouds, highs of 22, bit of breeze off the water. Right now, we're sitting at 12 degrees. Let's take a first look at the markets. S&P TSX in Toronto down 14 points to start the day at 36,366. The Dow also down 78 to 53,958. NASDAQ is down 51 to 26,639. Canadian dollar at 71.7 cents US.
Let's get started.
Start your day informed and entertained. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Well, we've been hearing your thoughts on the David Foster concert on Saturday. Did you go? I feel like everybody went because there was like 70,000 people there. That's a lot of us.
When we say that, everybody, did you see any animals there? Didn't you bring their dog?
I didn't see any dogs.
And sometimes we're too dog friendly and we get them into a crowd and the dog starts to lose it a little bit.
I don't think this would have been a dog friendly event.
No, I don't think so either. So that's good. Leave your pup at home.
Yeah. So here we go. This is the latest text message on that. Hey, Ryan and Lisa, did you see the video of that guy who fell off his kayak on the Inner Harbor? Pretty sure it's going viral. He was okay, by the way. No, but I did see. It was impressive because you had the barge.
Yeah.
Then you had just this jam of kayaks and canoes and people on little tiny private watercraft just circling the barge. And several times the performers would reference this because they'd look down and I think this was pretty new for a lot of them. I don't think you often have an audience in the front row, but they're usually not on
floating
boats.
in the front row.
So that's cool.
That's really cool.
Neat experience, but I have not seen the video of the guy falling off his kayak, so I'll look for that.
The Symphony Splash was named after that. One of the musicians fell off stage.
Really?
Yeah, that's where they got the splash from.
I love that. This texter says, our daughter-in-law, Anne, was on the cruise ship from Alaska, and the shuttle for the cruise brought them in and got to watch the fabulous show, and they got picked up back to the cruise ship.
Wow.
I was thinking about that because when you saw the drone footage, so the big screens were set up at the David Foster show, and sometimes they would switch over to a crowd shot from these drones that were flying overhead. So you'd see the harbor and the 70,000 people and the barge, but also off in the distance, when it was the wide shot of the harbor, you'd see on the horizon 3 cruise ships that were in. And I was thinking wow.
Pretty.
People getting off the cruise ship and seeing this would have been a cool thing. And there's a text message from somebody whose daughter-in-law had just that experience.
Exactly.
Keep them coming. Let us know
walk into town.
Let us know how you felt about the whole thing. One other text message I wanted to read here, which references something you missed last week, Lisa, because you were away last week. You missed our contest.
Which one?
Rushing through a Rush song. Here's what we were doing.
I did miss that.
We were playing Rush songs at double speed, and if you were able to still identify the name of the Rush song, you would get tickets to see the Rush. They're coming to Vancouver in December. And this texter here at 71010 is referencing this.
Okay.
Just a small request. I am missing the accelerated Rush Chipmunk songs. Maybe you could just speed up one of the newscasts. What do you think?
We could get that.
Should we play Lisa at double speed?
How about one of the interviews?
Oh,
what?
I see. Okay.
Get Fiona.
We'll think about that, texter. We'll take it under
consider that.
We'll take it under consideration.
I don't know if Geddy Lee sped up is a good thing.
Oh, you missed a real something.
Because Geddy Lee's voice on its own, and then when you speed that up.
It was, honestly, I haven't laughed that hard in a while.
I bet.
Because I usually didn't know what was coming, and I just hit play on the song that had been produced for us. And then it was something. If you missed it, maybe we'll bring that back later if we find any more tickets. But something else to give away this week, which is very exciting. Spam-A-Lot tickets.
Yes.
We'll explain how that contest is going to work a little later in the show. But right now, let's get to the news. Here's Lisa.
Police say an 80-year-old woman died as a result of the wildfire that forced the evacuation of thousands in the Okanagan region. The community west of Summerlin was one of the first areas overrun by the Bald Range wildfire that has forced some 20,000 people around Okanagan Lake to flee the fires. The BC Wildfire Service says it is expecting high potential for lightning-caused wildfire starts, particularly in the central interior and Okanagan regions today. This update comes as the province declared a state of emergency over fires on the weekend. The U.S. president is insisting that Iran is in very bad shape and that the U.S. is only semi-negotiating with them in order to let the pressure build. In an interview with Axios on Sunday, Donald Trump said the U.S. is essentially low-keying negotiations with Tehran. This is U.S. officials meet with Canadian officials once again in Washington, D.C. this week in an attempt for our Canadian officials to not have Trump impose more tariffs on Canada as of August 19th. In Nova Scotia, a clinical trial is underway for a new vaccine targeting the deadly Ebola virus. Health Canada has authorized Moderna to conduct the phase 1 trial, then started a volunteer effort receiving the first vaccination on last Monday. The company expects to enroll 80 volunteers in that region, including in Halifax and Toronto. The participants will not be exposed to the virus during the trial, designed to evaluate the vaccine's safety, determine dosages, and monitor side effects. That is your news to 717.
You've been telling us all about the fire situation, which has really escalated in BC over the weekend with a death, with evacuations, the area around Summerland really affected.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking next about the insurance side of this. What do you need to know as we're watching, properties burn elsewhere in BC? Are you thinking about your own home insurance? What if a fire happens near me? What do I need to know about this?
Right.
We're talking about that coming up next with the Insurance Bureau of Canada and their vice president for the Pacific and Western Canada region joining us in just a moment to get into that side of the story. We'll also do our traffic and weather. If you got an update on the Trans-Canada Highway, is it still slow heading in towards Victoria just before the Lee Road interchange? It looks like it from where I'm sitting, but it might be clearing up. I think it's starting to clear. If you have an update, let me know. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps. For a comfortable home no matter the season, big savings on your heating bill. Talk to Coastal Heat Pumps. They're designed for comfort. The South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer. What's going on with the deer that was injured on the Trans-Canada Highway just before the Lee Road interchange earlier today? It looks like they've cleared that situation up and traffic flow is starting to resume back to normal. If you do still see a bit of a slowdown there, that might still be just residual backup, but it does look like things are starting to flow again. Thank you for all the updates at 7:10:10. The rest of the commute's looking fairly typical. No sailing rates at BC Ferries, and the weather forecast is looking kind of like it's looked the last couple of days. It's a mainly sunny day. Bit of cloud here and there. Little wind off the Wandafuka Strait, making it feel a bit cooler by the water. Otherwise, it's a 22-degree high temperature with humidex at 25, so feeling a little humid, which we've had for the last few days as well. And right now it's 13 degrees.
It's all here. News, weather, traffic, and community events. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Yeah, well, there were a lot of wonderful things going on around Victoria over the weekend. We were also very acutely aware of the drama and the crisis happening elsewhere in BC, such as the humongous fire erupting in the Summerland area. We've, of course, since learned that an 80-year-old woman has died as a result. Officers received a report of a sudden death in Meadow Valley from a witness who was evacuating the region. Police say the resident had been attempting to flee the flames when she died, and though they did not provide details, they believe her death was the result of the fire. That's just one of the traumatic stories. I mean, there's been the loss of property. There's a lot going on. Huge evacuations happening as we continue to watch this. And I think anybody who is anywhere near, the potential for a forest fire in BC, whether that be in the Okanagan or right here on Vancouver Island, you might be wondering about yourself, if this were ever to happen to you. And what about your house? What about insurance for your home? I've got on the line with us right now Aaron Sutherland, Insurance Bureau of Canada Vice President for the Pacific and Western Canadian region. Sir, how you doing?
Great. Thank you for having me today.
Just right off the top, just from where you're sitting, I know it's from the insurance side of things, but what do you think as you watch something like the weekend we've just had in the BC wildfire scene?
Yeah, I mean, as a British Columbian, as probably any Canadian, this is horrifying, right? You never want to see this happen to a community of any kind. I mean, you see, 20,000 people forced outside their homes with very little notice. When we see what looks like significant property damage, in and around the community of Summerland, it's extremely concerning. It's heartbreaking, and we want to be doing all that we can to help. And that's what insurers are looking to do moving forward is do what we do best, which is help people with the financial support they need following this type of event.
Are you getting a lot more people calling up and saying, "Hey, I'm thinking about wildfires"?
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, we don't spend a lot of time thinking about insurance until the worst hits, and then we get really concerned, are we covered? Are we not? How does this all actually work? And I think the biggest thing for people to know, particularly for those who've been impacted, is a fire is covered under your standard home insurance policy, whether that's a wildfire erupting outside your home or a kitchen fire erupting inside. Fire is a fire, and that is covered. And the other big thing is if you're forced outside your home due to an evacuation order, insurance also covers you for any additional living expenses you're incurring. So that's things like hotel room, food, things that are over and above what you're usually spending. And so, all those evacuees that have been forced outside their homes, their insurer will be there to provide them with financial support for a hotel room, for the additional cost of food, things like that, whether or not their home has actually been impacted by this fire.
Now, one of the things that I experience, this is me personally, like I once a year I go through my insurance renewal and they read through all the things and I kind of nod along. And then to be honest, like right afterwards, I kind of start to forget about it. How many people don't realize that they have this, that if they suddenly get into an evacuation situation, they can call up the insurance company and get coverage for all this stuff?
I think, unfortunately, what you're describing is the more common occurrence, right? Most of us don't want to spend a whole lot of time thinking about our insurance policy. I work in insurance, and I'm kind of the same way, if I'm being honest with you. But it is something we all need to take a bit more time of. It's the protection we have for the most important and likely most expensive asset we own, which is our home or our property, and we need to make sure we have the right coverage in place to protect that. Now, when it comes to wildfire, which is the issue we're dealing with today, all standard home insurance policies cover you for that. And so, we can all take a bit of solace in that, whether we understand the policy or not. Fire is covered. And so the people, in Summerland will have financial protection for this event from their insurance policy. And again, you're also covered for what's called additional living expenses. So, costs you're incurring when you're forced outside your home due to an evacuation order. Those are the two biggest things that we see following this event. But it is concerning because a lot of people don't know that. And particularly when you've been evacuated, a lot of folks don't realize that they can get financial support from their insurer for the cost of hotel rooms. And that's a message we're trying to spread far and wide right now.
Aaron, that's basically the displacement that comes with being out of home and having to shop for necessities. But I look at a situation like Lytton, which is a cautionary tale, where a lot of those homeowners say that they've had to battle their insurance companies to get payout.
Lytton was a little bit unique. We're 5 years on and still have yet to see much of that community rebuild. There were some real obstacles there in terms of getting people back into their homes and the ability for the insurance company to move forward with reconstruction that I would suggest are somewhat outside insurance. When you look at other communities, Fort McMurray, Jasper, elsewhere, insurance companies are working to rebuild as quickly as they can. Lytton was a little bit different where we weren't able to do that. I'd suggest that was for other reasons. And when you can't rebuild, then you have to have a conversation around cash payouts. And yeah, that can be a little bit more difficult than a reconstruction process.
Mm-hmm. But it's still very important to read the fine print because you need to know and ensure that you are properly covered.
Absolutely. I mean, I would encourage everyone to take a few moments if you're not been directly impacted by these fires. So I think about folks on the island. Look at what we're seeing in the Okanagan to remind us, okay, let's take a few minutes, look at our insurance policy, figure out what we're covered for. Is this meeting our needs? And does this adequately match, any improvements or other things we've made to our homes? Making sure you have the right coverage in place for you is critical, and this is an important reminder to do that, whether you've been impacted or not.
In a worst case scenario where you do lose your home or a portion of your home and you decide to rebuild, is that going to change your premiums?
So no one event is typically going to impact, the premiums for folks. But, the trend is concerning. And what we're seeing across this province and across this country has been a dramatic increase in the frequency and severity of extreme weather events. And more often we're seeing communities and properties being impacted by that. This industry used to pay out the insurance industry used to pay out just a few $100 million annually for catastrophic events like wildfire, storms, floods, what have you. That has ballooned in recent years to now the industry is paying out over $2 billion each and every year. We paid out almost $10 billion a couple of years ago. This year is on track to be another very concerning year in terms of the cost of our changing climate. And so that is certainly putting pressure on premiums because at the end of the day, insurance can be complicated, but it's really about pricing risk. And what we are seeing is the risk facing homes, properties and communities in this province and right across this country, frankly, is going in one direction, and it's way up.
Talking about the insurance side of wildfires, Aaron Sutherland with the Insurance Bureau of Canada. He's the Vice President of the Pacific and Western Canada region. Thank you for weighing in. A couple of important things there to note again. Like you said, I'll just say it again. If you got fire insurance, you are covered for wildfires, and that includes emergency support if you get evacuated, and a lot of people don't know that. So things to know. Much appreciated. Thanks for sharing the knowledge.
Thank you for having me today.
We'll take a break. We got the 7:30 news coming up next.
Developing political story, a big doozy.
Vashi Capellos.
What started as a dull day is anything but
The top newsmakers.
Your go-to political debrief. Daily. What is really going on?
The breaking news.
Just moments ago. And the entertaining analysis and debate to follow.
I don't think you can sugarcoat it. It's an issue.
It's not true, guys. Yeah. Vashi Capellos. There is a greater plan here.
Vashi Capellos. Weekdays 9 a.m. to 11.
Bigger picture politically, which is
on CFAX 1070. CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It is 7:31 on Monday, August the 10th. Another summer-like day, just like the last few days. We got some sunshine, a few clouds. Right now, 13 degrees. We'll get you a full forecast in a moment. Right now, the news begins, and here is Lisa Best.
Thank you. Good morning. The BC wildfire update shows 104 wildfires burning across our province, 46 of those considered out of control. There's been 3 new starts in the last day. One of them is the fire just north of Port Alberni, but that is already considered under control. One of 3 fires burning on the island, either being held or under control. On the mainland, of course, it's a sad, unfortunate story. RCMP say an 80-year-old woman has died while trying to escape a wildfire in her community.
Penticton RCMP say the woman was attempting to escape at the time. In a statement, Mounties added that the resident of Meadow Valley, northwest of Summerlin, had been trying to evacuate with a family member when she died suddenly due to the fire. The death was reported early Saturday morning by a witness who is also evacuating. The BC Coroner's Service is investigating the nature of the woman's death. Don Mitchell, the Canadian Press.
The community west of Summerlin was one of the first areas overrun by the Bald Range wildfire that has forced the evacuation of some 20,000 residents around Okanagan Lake. The BC Wildfire Service says it is expecting high potential for lightning-caused wildfire strikes, especially in the central, interior, and Okanagan regions, as elevated temperatures and wind gusts expected to linger. Of course, that could also increase fire behavior. The update comes as the province declares a state of emergency this over the weekend due to the fire situation. On the firesmoke.ca website, it shows the smoke from more than 100 fires burning on the mainland and about 50 in Washington State and Oregon are blowing away from Vancouver Island today. So a sliver of good news. You shouldn't have a problem with smoke in our region today. More than 180 new fires burning in the U.S. since the weekend. Officials say 8 of those grew quickly into larger out of control, and they're mostly in the western states.
Firefighters working to contain nearly 100 large fires nationwide. In Utah, hundreds of thousands of acres scorched. 2 pilots were killed fighting a 174 square mile wildfire still burning. The helicopter, flying in an area of steep terrain, crashed, igniting another fire. People in southern Oregon forced to evacuate as the Wright Spring fire grows in size.
We'll have more updates on the fire situation as it develops today. A group representing First Nations across BC is calling on Ottawa and Alberta to halt the proposed West Coast pipeline, warning that project would worsen climate change and disasters.
In a letter to Prime Minister Mark Carney and Alberta Premier Danielle Smith, the Union of BC Indian Chiefs says First Nations have not been meaningfully consulted on a proposed West Coast oil pipeline. The group says key decisions have already been made and warns expanding fossil fuel production will worsen climate change. The proposed 1,250-kilometer pipeline would carry up to 1 million barrels of crude oil per day from Alberta to a port near Delta, BC for export. Now, Ottawa is considering designating the project as being in the national interest, which could speed up its approval process. David Augustine, the Canadian Press.
And if you're a fan of Elvis, fans are descending on in Memphis this week to celebrate the birthday of the King.
You should have heard this knocked out jailbird sing that rock.
It's Elvis Week 2026, and the festivities are in full swing at his iconic Graceland home. The 10-day festival celebrates Presley's life and music 49 years after his death in 1977. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
That's your news to 7:35. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. We're talking about back to school shopping. Be afraid, kids. Be very afraid. Are your boys afraid of back to school shopping?
They're afraid of back to school just in general. Anything to do with it.
It's too soon, really.
Yeah.
But we're asking, are you preparing for this? 90% say no. They believe it's too soon, too. You can vote at CFAX1070.com, the iHeartRadio app, even though all the stuff is out in the stores already. That's your news to 7:36.
My youngest was complaining like the first week of July that summer was almost over.
Oh
no, school is so soon.
He's got to pace himself.
Yeah.
He's got some time.
Yeah, back to school looms large for my kids. Hey, it looks like that deer situation on the Trans-Canada Highway is all cleared up. There was a slowdown earlier coming in towards Victoria just before the Lee Road interchange. It's cleared up now. We're just back to usual construction delays if you're heading down the Trans-Canada. If you see otherwise, you can text me at 71010. For the CFAX 1070 Sports, lots going on over the weekend in baseball. Nanaimo Night Owls losing their first series of the playoffs. They won the opener on Friday. Then they went to the States, played the Bellingham Bells for 2 more games. They lost last night 17-4, and they lost Saturdays as well. So lost 2, won 1. But this isn't it, because the West Coast Baseball League, the playoffs, they actually play a couple of series. And they got another one coming up against Kelowna as the playoffs will roll on for them. In the majors, Toronto Blue Jays open up an important 4-game home series with the Boston Red Sox. Toronto 3.5 games behind in the AL wildcard race, with Boston holding one of those spots. So that's the Blue Jays. Seattle Mariners losing last night 4-1 to the Tampa Bay Rays, wrapping up a series sweep at T-Mobile Park. For local lacrosse, this was a couple of days ago, but I still want to fill in some of the big moves that happened. The Senior A Shamrocks won 11-6 against the Nanaimo Timbermen back on Friday. So Victoria officially sweeps the best-of-5 series, 3-0, advances to the WLA Finals. And then on Saturday, the Junior A Shamrocks with an 11-10 win over the Coquitlam Adanacs in Game 6. This was Saturday night at the Q Center. With that, they clinched the BCJALL Championship and punched their ticket to the Minto Cup. And we spoke to General Manager Rod Wade just before 6:30 News earlier this morning. He talked about the coming Minto Cup and what to expect.
It's in Alberta, in Calgary. They get two teams competing, and then we'll be the fourth. So we open up Sunday night against the host, 8 o'clock at the Max Bell Center, and we'll be ready to go.
And in tennis, the real fun begins now at the National Bank Open men's tennis event in Montreal with the start of quarterfinal action. First up will be Rafael Hoder of Spain playing Arthur Fies of France in the first of 2 matches. That's your sports to 7:39. Hey, CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps. For a comfortable home no matter the season. Big savings on your heating bill. Talk to Coastal Heat Pumps. They're designed for comfort. The South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer. On the roads, things are returning to a fairly normal Monday condition. In fact, even lighter than usual volume delays, as we've seen for quite a bit of the summer. Continuing to persist out there from the West Shore into Victoria. That deer situation on the Trans-Canada Highway near Lee Road is all cleared up. And at BC Ferries, we have a 1 sail wait now. 8 o'clock sailing is full from Swartz Bay to Swawasan. 9 o'clock is next. The weather today looks kind of like yesterday, mainly sunny. A few clouds here and there. A little breeze off the Wandafuka Strait, cooling it down a bit if you're right by the water. Otherwise, we'll hit a high of 22 degrees and a little extra humidity in the air today. A few clouds overnight, lows to 12. Tomorrow looks very similar to today. So does Wednesday. Thursday, Friday, very similar, maybe just a little warmer, actually, as we get further into the week. And right now, it is 13 degrees in Victoria. On the markets, S&P TSX in Toronto turning things around after starting the day with a slight dip, now slightly up by 12 points to 36,393. In New York, the Dow Jones down 73 to 53,963. Canadian dollar at 71.7 cents US, which is down just a tiny, tiny fraction since the previous close.
Don't attempt your morning commute without us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Well, at 7:10:10, we have been awash in your reviews of the David Foster concert on Saturday. Did you go? The Times Colonist newspaper at least reporting that upwards of 70,000 people were down there. I believe it. I went down with my kids. It was just jammed. Magical night. Crazy the amount of resources that went into this. This was just whether it was the music itself, the fireworks, the drone show, the whole thing was just a step above what we usually kind of see as far as, resources put into entertainment in the Inner Harbor.
Right.
Crazy to see that. What did you think of it? At 7:10:10, this texter says, we were at the concert Saturday night and we saw a lot of dogs there. We were wondering that. Lisa,
Okay.
you were asking if people brought their dogs down. Well, this texter says, yeah, they saw a lot of dogs.
Interesting.
I didn't see any.
With the fireworks and with the jets going overhead, I don't know. I feel that would be a hard pass, but it depends on how laid back your dog is.
Yeah. This texter at 7:10:10 says, good morning. What an amazing concert. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you to David Foster. I can't say enough about the crowd and how respectful they were. Yeah, considering how many people were there, I think Vic PD said this after the fact as well, is that there were very few incidents and whatever did happen was resolved fairly easily. So nothing major as far as problems caused by such a crush of people. So well done, Victoria.
Yes.
And anybody on a cruise ship who happened to be there too.
Just happened upon it.
Yeah. This texter at 7:10:10 says, hey, congrats, CFAX. Your YouTube live feed on Saturday was great to watch. I enjoyed watching what's going on in the Inner Harbor. Yeah, if you don't know, we do stream CFAX all day long on YouTube. You can follow us on YouTube. Please like and subscribe. It would be great to get more people subscribed to our YouTube channel.
Yes.
And we've got this morning show, like me and Lisa right here. We've got some cameras in the room, so we put ourselves on TV. On the YouTube stream. The rest of the day, though, it's the harbor cameras. You can listen to the radio feed, but you can just see a big wide shot of the city, and then there's like a tight shot in of the harbor. And for Saturday, we turned all those cameras onto the harbor area where the concert was going on. So you couldn't hear it necessarily, but it was cool to see them setting up the barge and then eventually everything happening and all the boats gathering. So yeah, that was a cool way to check things out. And if you didn't know, there you go. The YouTube feed is a thing you can watch.
Oh, yes. I like to think that, every time we have a concert, we'll just turn the cameras again.
I keep it on in my office just because I have a TV in my, when I'm not on air, I have a little place I go and prep for the next day.
Right.
And I got a TV in there and I just leave it on the screen because it's like having a window.
To the world, absolutely, because there's a lot going on in the Inner Harbor. So if anything's happening, then we know about it first. But I'd like to think that the cruise ship people, we could kind of punk them to say, no, this is the kind of entertainment we roll out for you every time you show up.
This is every weekend in Victoria.
So cruise back soon.
Yeah, come back. Anyways, I have some ticket giveaway information I should give out, Lisa.
This is good.
So we did this a few months ago. I can't remember, but we were giving away Spam-A-Lot tickets.
Right.
And we've got more. We found some more. Hiding in a drawer somewhere.
Dusted them off.
More Spam-A-Lot tickets to give away. So all this week, every day we're going to give away a pair. And if you don't know, this is a musical being brought into Victoria by those Broadway and Victoria folks who are putting on these fantastic Broadway-level shows. But in Victoria, Spam-A-Lot is based on Monty Python's Holy Grail movie. If you've seen that, this is the inspiration for it. It's going to be running at the Royal Theatre August 28th to the 30th. And with these tickets to give away, I was trying to decide, Lisa, if we should do what we did last time again, because I loved it. What we did is we had you call in at 250-386-1161 and perform a Monty Python sketch for us.
A soliloquy, as you were.
It didn't have to be from Holy Grail or Spam-A-Lot. It could be any Monty Python thing. Maybe you got the dead parrot sketch in your back pocket. Maybe you're a big fan of, the spam scene in the cafeteria.
That's right.
You got all. It doesn't matter. Whatever you like.
Silly walks.
Do you think silly walks would be funny to perform on the radio?
That's true.
But maybe you could find a way.
We've had that.
Who doesn't love the argument sketch? That's another good one.
Okay, I like that one.
Lisa, should we do that?
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
So after 8 o'clock, just after we get through the news, the sports, the traffic, all of that, let's take a random caller at 250-386-1161. If you get through, as long as you perform some degree of Monty Python sketch, you will get today's tickets. So stand by for that. Right now, though, over to the headlines with Lisa.
Thousands evacuated from Summerlin and the surrounding area of BC's Okanagan after that fast-moving bald-range fire blew through the region late Friday, triggering the province to declare a state of emergency the following day. Summerlin's Mayor Doug Holmes says he hasn't returned to the community after evacuation, but he knows that buildings have been lost. The fire exploded in size to more than 100 square kilometers as of Saturday afternoon. The BC Wildfire Service says it grew to 136 square kilometers as of Sunday. The Federal Emergency Management says she has approved a request for federal assistance to provide shelter and accommodation for the thousands of people who were forced to flee the flames. The Wildfire Service says late Sunday that crews have seen the fire behavior increase to rank 4, meaning a vigorous surface fire, after lower activity throughout the day. So this is getting worse before it gets better. The UK and France are preparing for another heat wave as Western Europe sets a new temperature record. Both countries have put out heat-related warnings as temperatures are forecast to climb to 36 Celsius later this week. Across Europe, the extreme heat began in May and has contributed to major wildfires, prolonged drought, and new national temperature records, as well as thousands of projected heat-related deaths. Globally, climate statistics show so far this is the third hottest year on record before 2025 and 2024, although this year still has time to catch up. And RCMP in Maple Ridge are warning of an aggressive bear in the city after a report of a 3-year-old girl attacked outside her family home. In fact, police say the adult black bear attacked the child on the backyard deck of the home. The girl flown to hospital. She was treated for non-life-threatening injuries. Police say the bear returned to the area several times, and officers at one point made the decision to shoot it, but it fled into the woods. Conservation officers are helping to track the animal now. They're asking people to stay indoors and report any sightings. That's your news to 748.
Texter 71010 says, I was giving a walking tour for cruise passengers, and they were fascinated by the David Foster concert. They got to see the drones, the fireworks, and they said it was the best part of their whole cruise.
I bet.
Yeah.
But we do this every weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
Just for the cruise ships.
Come on back. This texter at 71010 says the David Foster concert was excellent, and there were a few dogs there, large and small.
Okay.
Where else could we possibly enjoy high-quality entertainment? The snowbirds, the wonder of 3 fighter jets loudly flying over, a wonderful drone show, and fireworks, all free.
Yeah.
On one beautiful evening in a stunning venue. We were so fortunate and appreciative. That's from Ricky. Yeah, that's how I felt. Like, it was kind of a one-off night. Like, you're not going to get many nights like that in Victoria.
No.
It was cool to see. Oh, and this texter says, what happened to the Nickelback dude and Adam Levine, whose names were mentioned? Texter, they did show up at the Friday Gala.
That's right.
So there was a ticketed event, which was the main fundraising thing, and they said they raised $14.5 million, by the way, at a gala at the conference center, and that was not open to the public. You had to pay to get into that one, and if they raised $14.5 million, you had to pay pretty big, is my sense. And there were some of the performers who did the free concert on Saturday were there, but there were other people too, like Adam Levine and the Nickelback dude, Chad Kroeger. They performed.
Was that what he known as now?
I think so.
Chad Kroeger.
Yeah,
okay.
They performed on the Friday.
Yes.
Some of them, though, didn't make it to the Saturday. Like, we didn't see Harry and Meghan, the Royals, who were there on the Friday at the gala. I don't know if they were there. If they were,
they were there.
It was just unknown.
Yeah.
Maybe quiet.
I'm thinking they were maybe on a boat or backstage or something. I can't see them leaving, but maybe.
Yeah.
You know, depending on, I don't know, security.
Yeah, who knows?
Victoria's pretty laid back. They love it here.
Maybe they just
lived in North Saanich.
Maybe they threw a hoodie on and were just standing with the crowd on the legislature.
Right? That's all it takes, because we're so chill about it.
It's probably not true, but I'm just going to pretend it was.
Harry and Megs.
That's my hope.
I like it.
We got traffic. We got weather coming up next. And if you have more thoughts on the weekend concert, you can text us at 71010.
Where the noise stops and the conversation begins.
Hey, it's Friday. Welcome to the Graham Richardson Show.
The stories that shaped your week aren't just headlines. They are the moments we live through and the decisions that change what comes next.
Let's take a closer look at that together.
It's national conversations. From major policy shifts to the fun, unexpected trends and friends everyone will be talking about. It is intelligent, unpredictable, and completely Canadian. Stay informed. Stay ahead. The Graham Richardson Show. Friday morning at 9 a.m. right here on CFAX 1070. The Whole Home Show with Tony Joe.
Everyone wants to know about real estate. Is the market going up or down? Time to buy or sell? How can government programs and policies affect you? Hear from local experts on topics like appraisal, inspection, investment, and others on how to maximize your real estate sale.
Providing info on everything you needed to know about real estate. The Whole Home Show with Tony Joe. Saturdays at noon on CFAX 1070.
CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Thrifty Foods. Now in season, fresh BC peaches, joyfully juicy, tree ripened under the Okanagan sunshine, are ready for you to pick up today. All right, what's happening? The roads are looking much more normal after an earlier collision that took place on the Trans-Canada Highway involving a deer. So they had to deal with that, but it's all cleared now. No residual slowdown. We do have a sailing wait at BC Ferries. 8 o'clock sailing is full. Your 9 is the next one from Swartz Bay to Swanson. And for the weather forecast, we're sitting at 13 degrees right now. We're eventually going to warm up to about 22. Per usual, in Victoria, it's going to feel a little cooler by the Windy Wandafuka Strait, but inland it might feel a little warmer with some humidity in the air. I will say this, the forecast today looks kind of like the last couple of days, and the next couple of days look very much the same as well. We're kind of just in this fairly stable, pleasant bit of summer weather. That is your CFAX 1070 traffic and weather.
Thanks for starting your day with us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
So here's a big BC political issue that you haven't heard as much about recently. In fact, I didn't even realize how much this has kind of knocked off the headlines, but we're about 1 year since the Cowichan decision that rocked sort of questions around property ownership and private residences and First Nations property rights and all that kind of stuff. If you remember all that, that was huge in the news for a while. A year later, where is this at? Well, joining us on the line right now, the BC Conservatives are noting this anniversary and talking about the fallout still being a present thing. Attorney General critic Steve Cooner is with us on the line. Sir, how you doing?
Hi, thank you for having me on.
Great to get you here. So yeah, the BC Conservatives pointing out, hey, we're a year past this and it's still not resolved. What do you think people need to know about this?
Well, this is probably the biggest issue in the province concerning private property and property in general. And it's a very significant issue. It affects homeowners, it affects businesses, it affects investors, and affects our way of life. And it's a very significant issue. And it's been about 1 year, as you stated, that this Cowichan decision came down. And this decision and related discussion has been in the legislature in the fall session as well as the spring session. And this issue has not been adequately dealt with by the provincial government. So there's significant concerns.
One of the things I seem to remember is that it's still before the courts. We've got the court decision, the Cowichan decision, under appeal. So that's still playing out in the background. Is there more, though, that you think should be done by the government while we're waiting for the courts to move on to the next step?
One live concern has been leveled at the provincial government. The concern is that the provincial government never argued the best arguments at the trial level, and that may flow to the appeal level. And the premier, when he was the attorney general back in 2019, I believe, put in a directive. It was an UNDRIP directive, and as you know, with the DRIPA legislation, it legislates essentially UNDRIP into BC law. And but there was a directive put in on government lawyers back in 2019 that went and that essentially said there would be no arguments put forward in litigation that would diminish Aboriginal rights or Aboriginal claims in any way. And so basically what the city of Richmond actually made the argument. They argued the legal doctrine of extinguishment, meaning that private property was paramount, and any other rights, Aboriginal rights to private property were extinguished, and private property was paramount. And so the city of Richmond was very concerned that the province didn't make the same argument. The province was the key defendant in that action, the Supreme Court of British Columbia action. And so that has been an ongoing theme, and I have questioned the provincial government quite a few times in legislative debate, in question period, about that directive. And we are seeing consequences of the government not fully arguing for all British Columbians the paramountcy for private property rights in this province. And so that's been an ongoing theme, and it's still an ongoing concern, although appeal has been filed. Whether the provincial government's going to actually argue that private property rights are paramount, and whether the provincial government's actually going to argue the legal doctrine of extinguishment. So that's an ongoing issue in the litigation, and then in addition to all of that, what's been happening is the DRIPA discussion has come into play, and DRIPA also affects land use decisions. And the premier actually stated prior to the spring session that the DRIPA posed significant legal liability, and promised to either suspend or amend parts of DRIPA. But after stating the comment of significant legal liability, the provincial government failed to do anything. And so that's raising a lot of concerns as well. That's like the DRIPA discussion is a parallel discussion to what's happening with the Cowichan decision litigation.
Well, we got to leave it there just because we're out of time. But talking to Attorney General critic with the BC Conservative, Steve Cooner, a year has passed now. We're exactly a year away from the Cowichan tribe's decision, and it's still there. Even if it's a little off the headlines, it's still there in the background of BC politics as we head into the year. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
8 o'clock news next.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It's 8:02 on this Monday, August the 10th. Another summery day with temperatures eventually to get to 22 degrees. Right now, 13. Actually, some parts of Victoria, it's 16 degrees already. We'll get you a full weather forecast in a moment. But right now, Lisa's back, and here's the news.
Thank you. We talk about wildfires, our top story of the day. Thousands evacuated from Summerland and the surrounding area in BC's Okanagan as that fast-moving bald range fire rolled into the region late Friday, triggering the province to declare a state of emergency the following day. Summerland Mayor Doug Holmes says he hasn't returned to the community yet following the evacuation.
The focus is still on the fire is still burning, it's still out of control, so that all the efforts are putting to get that fire under control before we can start thinking about letting people back. And the first people will go back will probably be, say, farmers who are worried about their livestock.
That fire exploded in size to more than 100 square kilometers as of Saturday afternoon. The BC Wildfire Service says it has grown to 136 square kilometers as of Sunday. So with the hot, dry weather continuing, crews are still doing battle. As people will slowly trickle back home, once they do, it's about taking stock of what's left and talking to insurance companies. Now, we did have a special guest on CFAX earlier. Aaron Sutherland is the Insurance Bureau of Canada's Vice President of Pacific and Western Canada. He commented on the disturbing weather trends.
The insurance industry used to pay out just a few $100 million annually for catastrophic events like wildfire, storms, floods, what have you. That has ballooned in recent years to now the industry is paying out over $2 billion each and every year. We paid out almost $10 billion a couple of years ago. This year is on track to be another very concerning year in terms of the cost of our changing climate. And so that is certainly putting pressure on premiums, because at the end of the day, insurance can be complicated, but it's really about pricing risk. And what we are seeing is the risk facing homes, properties and communities in this province and right across this country, frankly, is going in one direction, and it's way, way up.
Aaron's suggestion for any homeowners, or if you have any property, is to read the fine print on your insurance and make sure you're completely covered. The federal government is planning to slash freight rates in half for companies shipping steel across this country. Transportation Minister Stephen McKinnon says the move is about supporting a domestic steel industry hard hit by tariffs. He says cheaper freight rates means businesses are more likely to use Canadian steel in production.
But Canadians want to buy Canadian products. And Canadians want their governments to buy Canadian products. Canadian businesses want to use more Canadian materials, and our government wants to support that.
The federal government says it will offset $100 million in freight costs for businesses through to next summer. And lawyers and advocacy groups are raising concerns about proposed federal changes to Canada's Access to Information Act.
Critics are most concerned about the restriction on access to certain documents, which could include emails. They also oppose allowing longer processing delays based on staffing or budgets, saying some access requests already take months or even years. Advocates say Ottawa could reduce delays by proactively publishing more records, including scientific evidence behind decisions on issues like pesticides and GMOs. Diana Musina, The Canadian Press.
That's your news to 8:05. Your CFAX 1070 news poll. We're asking, have you begun your back-to-school shopping preparations? Over 90% say no. You can vote at CFAX1070.com, Twitter X, also the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa, best your news time is 8:07.
Lisa, we're giving away Spam-A-Lot tickets.
Yes.
This is the Broadway and Victoria musical coming to the Royal Theatre August 28th to the 30th. We're going to get a lucky caller to perform some kind of Monty Python sketch for us. We did this a few months ago. It was great fun.
It
We're
was
doing
good.
it again.
It was very creative.
So here's the number, 250-386-1161. Right after we're done our sports and traffic and weather here,
Okay.
we're just going to throw open the phone lines, take a random caller.
Sure.
I'll just mash the buttons and see who shows up. And as long as you perform for me, you'll get some tickets. We're going to do this every day this week. So your chance to win is coming. But first, over to the sports and and this was a couple of days ago, but I do want to talk about Shamrocks lacrosse because so much happened this weekend. First up, for the senior A Shamrocks, they won their game on Friday night against the Nanaimo Timbermen, 11-6, and with that, they move on to the WLA finals. They swept their series 3-0, so good on the senior Shamrocks. But the junior Shamrocks on Saturday, also with a win that sent them on to the Minto Cup, the big championship. It was an 11-10 overtime win in Coquitlam in Game 6 that sent them there. We talked to Rod Wade earlier on the program. He's the Junior A Shamrocks general manager, and he talked about how thrilling it was to do this in overtime.
But to win it in thrilling fashion in overtime was super special, something that, everybody that was there, players, fans, all our management will remember for a very long time. It was great.
So that's the Shamrocks lacrosse action. By the way, the Minto Cup is next weekend. That's when it starts in Alberta. So that's where the junior Shamrocks are off to. Let's talk baseball. The Nanaimo Night Owls, of course, doing their first ever playoff run in their entire franchise history. They lost their first series of the playoffs. They won the opener on Friday, but then they lost Saturday. And then last night it was a 17-4 loss to the Bellingham Bells on the road. Then it's not over. They do go on to play another series against the Kelowna Falcons as the playoff run continues. In the majors, Toronto Blue Jays have a critical series with the Boston Red Sox. It's a 4-game home series. Toronto's 3.5 games behind in the AL wildcard race. Yesterday, we saw the Seattle Mariners lose 4-1 to the Tampa Bay Rays. And the National Bank Open Men's Tennis Tournament in Montreal is ongoing with the start of quarterfinal action. Up first, we got Rafael Hodar of Spain playing Arthur Fies of France in the first of 2 matches today. And that's your sports to 8:09. All right. We're almost there. Not yet, but get ready to call 250-386-1161 for your chance to win those tickets to Spam-A-Lot. CFAX Activity Traffic and Weather now. The time is 8:10. Things are flowing pretty smoothly on our major routes. No crashes or accidents to report at this time. For the BC Ferries, 9 o'clock sailing is about 90% full, so possible sailing wait at 9. It's been a busy morning for BC Ferries. We did see the 8 o'clock sailing fill up. There was a 1 sail wait there a few moments ago. The weather forecast looking sunny today with a few clouds here and there and a bit of wind off the Wantafuka Strait. Otherwise, just a normal summery day like we've had for the last few days. Temperatures will peak at around 22 degrees, maybe feeling a bit warmer in the humidity, a little cooler by the water. It's 16 degrees right now. And then the next few days are looking very similar, by the way. It's just kind of a stable weather forecast for the week. On the markets, S&P TSX in Toronto up 78 points now. Started the day down, but now we're up to 36,456. The Dow is down 10 points to 54,026, also starting to dig out of some of its losses. And the Canadian dollar at 71.7 cents US.
In the kitchen, in the car, and at the office. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Take us with you. Listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
Hey, let's do it. Let's throw up at the phone lines at 250-386-1161 and give away some tickets to see the Broadway in Victoria presentation of Spam-A-Lot, the Monty Python musical, Royal Theatre, August 28th to the 30th. I'm just taking a random caller here.
Make it random.
I don't know who this is. Who is on this line? Who's this?
Hi, it's Liz.
Hi, Liz.
Liz, great to have you call in, but it's not done yet. Did you hear what I'm making you do?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know what you're in for. You're ready for this. We are going to request and require all people who get through to perform for us some level of Monty Python sketch to get the tickets. And Liz, you're the first one out this week. I'm so excited to hear what you got for us.
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay.
In your own time, go for it. The floor is yours.
Get the mic.
Good morning, Mrs. Prentice. Busy day. Busy day. I just spent 4 hours burying the cat. 4 hours to bury the cat? Well, yes, he wasn't dead yet, but I thought since we were going away for a fortnight, might as well be on the safe side.
Oh, Liz. Out of the park on a Monday. Well done.
Setting the bar high. That means you are the winner of our first pair of tickets that we're giving away this week to Spam-A-Lot. Liz, that was wonderful.
That was impressive.
Did you just have that in your back pocket? You were just ready with it?
I'm ready.
How many times have you planned that, prepared that for friends and family, and they're like, "Oh, not again, Liz"? And here it's won you tickets this time.
I haven't done it for many years.
Okay.
Well,
It came back just fine.
I'm glad you had it ready to go. So I'm going to put you on hold, Liz. Thank you so much for participating. That was a lot of fun.
Thanks.
Okay, don't go anywhere. I'm going to talk to you off the air. Don't worry. We're doing this again tomorrow. Still more chances to win. And get your Monty Python sketch ready. Liz was just ready.
She was prepped.
That was amazing. I can't believe.
And she said she hadn't done it for a while, but there was no rust on that.
Yeah. Incredible.
Well done.
The other thing we're talking about today is, of course, your reviews of the David Foster concert on Saturday. Still people writing in with their experiences and their stories. I wanted to read a few more of these here because there's so many great stories. This texter at 71010 says they listened to the concert from Haven. You know that floating spa they have? What a cool spot to be.
So at the spa in a white bathrobe.
Yeah, watching this
Drinking
concert.
Prosecco.
The texter goes on to say the drones were set up right next door, so it was fun to watch them set up and take off.
Oh, that's cool.
Great spot for the fireworks while sitting in a hot tub. Oh, my gosh, you're making me so jealous.
You were. Like, they were spying it while they were watching the show.
Beautiful view looking back at the ledge while Groban was singing and everybody had their phone lights on, waving like stars. Yeah, that was one of my favorite moments of the night because I went down there. I was on the ledge lawn with my kids. And, yeah, that moment that he sung his big song and everybody was waving their phones, but there was like 70,000 people doing it. So what a sight that was.
So impressive.
This texter at 71010 says, I didn't make it downtown, but I did get to see the snowbirds fly over as I mowed my lawn. That's also awesome. I like that.
Getting it done.
This texter says, another consequence of the number of celebrities in town for the David Foster show is the number of private jets exiting YVR yesterday.
Oh, I never thought of that.
There were a lot of people taking pictures of it looked like a private jet parking lot. There was so many of them.
To see so many at once there.
Yeah.
All the money in town.
This texter just simply says, the tenors singing Bohemian Rhapsody and then 5 stars.
Oh, cool.
They actually put it in the stars. That was a cool moment. The harmonies that they pulled off, incredible.
Yeah.
And live, it was great.
Yeah, good reviews. Thanks for sharing your experience.
And one last texter. Good morning, Ryan and Lisa. My husband and I were enjoying the music from Milestones on the Causeway. A big screen on the back of the stage would have been perfect. For the other side of the harbor, they obviously thought there wouldn't be so many people coming out. Have a wonderful week from Sandra. Yeah,
that's a good point.
I wonder if they just weren't prepared for that many people.
Well, because they were guesstimating 40,000, the Foster Foundation was probably looking at that much, right?
Yeah.
So we weren't expecting the actual number to be close to double. But when you think just even 10,000 tourists in town off the cruise ships.
Yeah.
With 3 boats, we were going to have that many people coming in. Very cool. Well, I'm glad everybody had a good time.
Yeah, thanks for your reviews at 71010. Right now, time for the headlines. Here's Lisa.
A BC wildfire update. We have 104 fires burning. There's a new fire just north of Port Alberni. It started yesterday, but crews already have that one under control, so that's good news. There's been 3 new starts in BC in the last 24 hours. And, of course, 46 fires remain out of control. That has the province declaring a provincial state of emergency. That came on the weekend. And they say property losses on the mainland, the Okanagan area, are significant. Summerlin Mayor Doug Holmes says he hasn't returned to his community yet after evacuation. He says it's still an active fire zone, so they haven't been able to take stock just yet. But that fire exploded in size to more than 100 square kilometers on Saturday afternoon. The BC Wildfire Services, by Sunday, it had grown another 36 square kilometers. A 7.4 magnitude earthquake has hit Colombia. The USGS says it happened early this morning in the province of Chaco. Local officials say there are injuries and significant damage in the region. There's also concerns about aftershocks hitting as well. And globally, this year so far is the 3rd hottest on record, behind last year in 2024. The scientists say 2026 still has time to catch up thanks to the 1-2 punch of accelerated human-caused global warming and a supersized El Nino, which is warming the Pacific, and that leads to temperature variations around the globe. Scientists say there's an increasing chance that by the end of this year, 2026 could be the hottest year on record. That's your news to 8:18.
One of the things that happened last week that I haven't had a chance to talk about yet, but I really want to get to, is that there's a Victoria wrestler, pro wrestler, who does women's wrestling. Chelsea Green is her name. And if you know about wrestling, you know about her because she claimed the interim WWE Women's Championship earlier this month. But also, if you're just part of the local wrestling scene, you know that she's from here. She's from Victoria. This is her roots. And people who are into the local scene are very thrilled to have somebody from Victoria reach this level. My next guest is a Vancouver Island pro wrestling co-founder who's going to talk about that local scene and how Chelsea Green is making them all proud. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps. For a comfortable home no matter the season. Big savings on your heating bill. Talk to Coastal Heat Pumps. Designed for comfort, the South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer. This has nothing to do with traffic and weather, but just continuing with your reviews of the David Foster Show. This texter at 71010 said, I had the best view of the snowbirds and jets on Saturday. I was on my deck and the snowbirds flew directly overhead 3 times and the jets flew over me continually for 20 minutes. It was awesome with no crowds. A thing about that texture, I was curious about that too because it seemed like the jets were like circling over a little out of the way for quite a long time before they finally did the flyover of the Inner Harbor. Apparently, and the Times Colonist had this information, there was a bit of a power issue on the barge, so they had to delay the start of the concert by just a little bit. So the Jets needed to delay. So that's why you heard them for so long kind of circling before they came over.
Just hanging out, making big noise.
And I can share this information because there's nothing really happening in traffic. It's everything.
It's overhead.
Yeah, I'm using this traffic report to give you that tidbit of information because, the roads are pretty smooth right now. We had an earlier incident with a deer on the Trans-Canada Highway. If you heard about it, that's all clear now. So things are moving fine by the Lee Road interchange. And there is a busy day at BC Ferries. 9 o'clock, almost full. There's still some room left on it, but it's a possible sailing weight at 9. Weather's looking good. Sunshine, a few clouds, highs of 22, right now at 16.
Ryan and Lisa. Mornings on CFAX 1070. Remember, you have us in the palm of your hand. For listeners on the go, listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
Well, let's talk about this local pro wrestler. Her name is Chelsea Green, and if you've heard of her, you know she's big in the wrestling community. But if you've never heard, it's cool to know that a Victoria-grown wrestler just claimed the interim WWE Women's Championship. It happened earlier this month, but we want to talk about it now with BJ Laredo. He's co-founder of Vancouver Island Pro Wrestling. He's joining us right now. Sir, how you doing?
How are you?
I'm doing great. So texters were letting me know about this last week. People were texting me into the show saying, "Hey, look, have you heard about this thing? This local wrestler, Chelsea Green, just won this big thing." And then as I was talking about it, I happened to have BC's Energy Minister, Adrian Dix, on the line on hold waiting for his interview. And he comes on the radio afterwards. He's like, "Oh my God, it was amazing." And he's explaining the ladder event because that was the big final thing, right? Like they hang a championship belt off the ceiling and all the wrestlers have to climb up ladders and tables and fighting each other as they go. And the winner who gets to the top gets the belt. That's how it happened, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was at a ladder match at their big SummerSlam pay-per-view.
That's amazing. That is so cool. So with all of that going on and all this excitement, we were really hoping somebody like you could come in and kind of give us some perspective here. Talk about what a big deal this was.
It's huge for the island. I mean, like homegrown Chelsea, wrestled for us back in 2014, so quite a while ago, about 12 years ago. We were working little shows in the Velox Rugby Club in Victoria and small hall in Nanaimo, and we had Chelsea on some of our shows. She had just come from Lance Storm's school in Calgary, and she's working these little halls for us, and we knew that she was going to be good, and we figured that she was going to be big someday. We didn't know this big, but it's kind of exciting for us and exciting for Vancouver Islandites ourselves, right?
Yeah, it's always neat. I mean, like it's the same in any sport when you get the person who played for the local home team goes on to play in the major leagues, or in this case, in the WWE. What a cool story. Talk about like how rare is that? Do local wrestlers? Because clearly we got a big local wrestling scene. You're a part of it there. Do we see local wrestlers kind of make that progression often, or how rare is this?
It's pretty rare. Like I think they say it's more rare than someone playing in the NHL or in the NFL. It's such a huge pond of talent all over the world, and such a small, chance to make that happen. And she was able to do that.
And what is the local wrestling scene for those who don't know? The scene that she came out of. Take us through what it's like.
Vancouver Island Pro Wrestling is something we started up in end of 2012. We put on shows every couple of months in Langford and Victoria and Nanaimo, Port Alberni, Duncan. We're kind of all over the place. I'm born and raised in Nanaimo myself. Always dreamed of making it big, but 41 years old now, I'm a little bit out of the loop there. So I just try and provide it the opportunity and the platform for them to do it and get better and hone their craft. And there's a lot of young, local, hungry, up and coming talent on the rosters.
AJ, a lot of us don't know Chelsea, not yet anyways, making her a household name. Give it some time. But what makes her unique? What has helped her in her climb? Is personality, physicality, the whole shebang probably, right? What can you share?
Yeah, I mean, she's got a mix of it all, but the biggest thing is she makes the best of her time on television or in front of a crowd. whether she's out there for 20 minutes in a match or whether she's out there for 20 seconds on camera. Anytime you see Chelsea, you remember what she does out there, and that's kind of what it's about. It's not about, being the absolute best wrestler or the absolute most talented. It's whether you're willing to do what's asked and do it with grace and effort rather than, just going through the motions. And she's definitely one that makes the best of any time she's on TV or in front of an audience, because I'm sure anybody that's watched her work or, watched her perform in the last few years has remembered who Chelsea was.
So she has the presence to take her far.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, we're talking to the co-founder of the Vancouver Island Pro Wrestling League, BJ Laredo, a league that Chelsea Green came from. Now she's doing things on the big stage. A final word to you just about, how the community's feeling about this and, what's next for Chelsea Green.
Man, I don't know. Like Chelsea, she's at the top of her game right now. She's, she is the WWE champ. That's what we all dream of as kids when we're young and watching wrestling from the third row. And she's there. So as long as she can stay on top and, do what she needs to do, she could be a future Hall of Famer. Who knows?
Well, we'll be watching, especially now that we kind of know that there's this Victoria wrestler at the top of the WWE. That is so cool. Thank you so much for talking to us about this, and good luck with local wrestling as that continues as well. It's good to hear that there's a good, healthy scene still brewing in Victoria and the island.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll be back in Victoria in October, and we'll be grooming these young stars to hopefully progress one day to be in her shoes. And, we just want to take that, with pride and congratulate Chelsea on everything she's done and carry it on.
BJ, thanks a lot. We'll talk again.
Not a problem. Have a great day.
All right. So, we'll take a break, but we've got the 8:30 news coming up. Your sports, your weather, your traffic, everything you need to know to get the day started. And congratulations again to Liz, by the way. Won the Spamalot tickets a few moments ago.
She did an awesome job.
Can't believe what a great job she did with her Monty Python sketch. If you missed it, we got another pair to give away tomorrow and every day this week. You just got to know a Monty Python sketch, perform a little bit of it for us, and you'll get the tickets. Your chance, again, after the 8 o'clock news on Tuesday tomorrow. Right now, quick break. 8:30 news is next.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island.
Experience Victoria Fringe Fest, August 26th through September 6th. Feel the roar at Pacific FC. Get your tickets today at cplsoccer.com. West Shore Swap Shop and Market is at Rally at Royal Bay every Sunday. Support Goldstream Food Bank with a $2 admission or a food donation.
Get more event info at cfax1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning, 8:31 on this Monday, August the 10th. We are looking at another sunny day with a few clouds and highs eventually to hit 22 degrees. It's 16 right now. Full forecast to come right now. The news begins, and here is Lisa Best.
Yeah, thoughts are with the community of Summerland and others around the Okanagan area as fire ravages the region. The mayor of Summerland says structures have been lost in the Bald Range fire, but it's too soon to take stock because the area remains an active fire zone on the western shores of Okanagan Lake. Doug Holmes says he's hopeful the community will remain united if they need to rebuild.
We might have to rebuild, but we'll do it, and by working together and being the good people that we are.
The Bald Range fire erupted on Friday, quickly grew in size. It's a race towards the communities of Summerland and Peachland. Some very, very dramatic photos coming out of that region of people escaping with the fire blanketing both sides of highways as they drive along. The blaze yesterday, the Bald Range blaze, was pegged at more than 136 square kilometers in size as of Sunday, but dry, hot conditions are expected to continue, which may make it worse for that region, even more so than it is now. We have 104 fires burning in BC, 46 of those considered out of control. A new fire north of Port Alberni here on Vancouver Island. Crews already have that one under control. It's a green dot on the map, so that is good news for the dashboard. The province has declared a provincial state of emergency as of Saturday, saying property losses have been significant. The firesmoke.ca website shows that smoke from more than 100 fires here on the BC mainland and about 50 burning in Washington state and Oregon are currently blowing away from Vancouver Island. So it looks like as of today, anyway, you won't have to worry about any smoke issues. Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc headed back to Washington today to begin a fresh round of trade negotiations. We are 9 days away from Donald Trump's latest threat of 50% tariffs taking effect on a wide range of Canadian goods. That expected to come into play next Wednesday. CTV's Michael Serapio has the latest on trade talks. A reaction to word the Canadian officials are bringing the option of more concessions to the table.
I don't know what we could give that would ensure that we didn't have economic pain.
Industry sources tell CTV News Ottawa is considering concessions on U.S. cars and booze to avoid a new 50% tariff that would be applied on August 19.
I don't think we should be making any concessions to the U.S.
I don't know. We've already done a lot.
This Sunday, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre released an early morning letter. Addressed to the Prime Minister, it warns Mark Carney against giving any ground to the U.S.
Poilievre's letter called on Carney to show some backbone in trade talks, saying he's already made several concessions, like sharing revenues from the new Gordie Howe Bridge that just opened last month between Windsor and Detroit. In the face of continued trade talks, new polling shows federal Liberals have opened their largest lead over the Conservatives in 5 months. Liaison Strategy says Mark Carney's government now has a 13-point lead at 44% support compared to the Conservatives at 31%. Voters continue to give Carney a strong approval rating, 57% compared to Poilievre's 34%. 53% of those polled say they actually disapprove of Pierre Poilievre. A collection of ultra-rare Nintendo game cartridges is about to hit the auction block.
When someone brought in a box containing 97 Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt NES cartridges, the owner of One Shop Wonders in Waukesha, Wisconsin, was thrilled and confused.
These were printed about 2 years after the last known printing of these games.
Jason Ganos runs a site called Nintendo Wire.
Nobody has ever seen these specific carts before.
Made in 1993, the games look brand new. They may fetch millions at an auction that starts tomorrow. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
And that's your news to 8:35. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question. We're only at August 10th, but we want to ask you, are you preparing for back to school? 90% say no, or not yet anyway. You can vote at CFAX1070.com, also the iHeartRadio app. I'm Lisa Best. Your news time is 8:37.
Thank you, Lisa. We have a day that is going to be sunny again. A few clouds, highs of 22, right now it's 16 degrees. Full forecast to come. Hey, so I've been talking about the Nanaimo Night Owls in West Coast League Baseball and their playoffs. I think I got a little something wrong with the playoffs because they lost their series over the weekend to the Bellingham Bells, concluding with last night's loss, which was on the road in Bellingham. They lost, what was the score here again? You got it written down somewhere in front of me. Where did it go?
It's when you look for it. It's not there.
17-4 was the loss. And they lost on Saturday. They did win the Friday game. I thought they carried on for another series, but texter at 71010 saying that that's incorrect. And I think they're correct because they say they spoke to Jim Swanson.
Oh, that'll do it.
The guy who owns the thing, or runs the thing. So, it looks like it might be the end of the road for the Night Owls' first ever playoff run. But hey, congratulations to the Night Owls for making it to the playoffs for the first time in their franchise history. Also, over the weekend, we saw the Junior A Shamrocks lacrosse team move on to the Minto Cup. They got an 11-6 win over the it was an 11-10 win over the Coquitlam Adnax in Game 6 on Saturday night. With that, they clinched the BCJALL Championship, punched their ticket to the Minto Cup in Calgary. And we spoke to Rod Wade of the Junior A Shamrocks, he's the general manager, about the coming Minto Cup.
It's in Alberta, in Calgary. They get two teams competing, and then we'll be the fourth. So we open up Sunday night against the host, 8 o'clock at the Max Bell Center, and we'll be ready to go.
And for the Senior A Shamrocks, of course, they had a win on Friday as well, 11-6 over the Nanaimo Timbermen. Victoria officially sweeping the best-of-5 series to advance to the WLA Finals. So there's your lacrosse. Toronto Blue Jays in the majors with a 4-game home series against the Boston Red Sox, because Toronto's still 3.5 games behind the AL wildcard race. Boston holds one of those spots, so that game's coming up tonight. And last night, Seattle Mariners losing 4-1 to the Tampa Bay Rays, wrapping up a series sweep at T-Mobile Park. That's your CFAX 1070 Sports to 8:39. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. It is 8:40, and the roads are looking pretty typical right now. Lighter than usual volume delays out of the West Shore into Victoria. Things are looking pretty smooth. They're doing more of that smoke testing in Rock Bay, where they pipe some smoke into the sewers, I guess to, figure something out. And you might see some of the white smoke coming out of some of the storm drains and whatnot in Rock Bay. So it should be causing traffic issues, but it might be weird if you see it. Just be aware that that's what's going on. BC Ferries, it is full at 9. Swartz Bay to Tsawwassen, 9 o'clock sailing is all filled up for vehicle deck space. Your next available vessel is the 10. And the weather forecast all this week is looking mostly sunny, a few clouds here and there. Temperatures in the low 20s. Today it's a high of 22. And we could see it feeling a little cooler by the water with some wind blowing off the Juan de Fuca Strait, but a humidex of 25, making it feel a little warmer if you're kind of away from that ocean breeze.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Oversleepers, catch all the highlights on the latest audio podcast at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
Ducking into a little federal politics, we have by-elections upon by-elections going on all across the country. And here to talk a bit more about it and other things in politics is regular guest David Black. He's a professor of communications and culture at Royal Roads University, and I always love getting his take on things. So we're getting him here right now. David Black, how you doing?
Oh, very good, Ryan. How are you?
Not bad. Your summer treating you well?
Yes, a lot of teaching this summer, so glad for a break to do some punditry.
Excellent. Always love to give you a break for chatting politics. Now, actually, it's so funny. We were here to talk about the fact that we got federal by-elections coming up fast and furious at the end of August, including in North Vancouver, Capilano. Candidates from all parties declaring their picks to replace Liberal MP Jonathan Wilkinson. He's one of the fellows who is stepping away and opening up a spot. I'm just looking, just as we were getting ready to talk, some breaking news banner went across my screen. A Liberal member of Parliament named Sean Chen is going to be stepping down amid health issues, apparently. So there's another one stepping down. So we're seeing a lot of movement. Talk us through what's going on here. Is this normal?
No, I mean this is certainly an unusual number of by-elections. I mean, the count currently with this breaking news addition to the count is 9. We have 3 on the 31st of August. We had until this news this morning 5 that were known between now in April, because there's a 180-day kind of limit. You have to, sort of call the by-election with 180 days of the vacancy, and now this new one. So, 9 by-elections between now and April of next year is a lot. And normally we wouldn't think much of a by-election here or there in terms of what it might tell us, but I think there's certainly more narrative value. There's more explanatory power in 9 because it gives you a kind of gestalt for the whole country. A lot of these by-elections are all over the place, really.
And these are just the ones that are happening now. We've already had some monumental by-elections, ones that turned the Liberal minority government of Mark Carney into a majority government. So these 9 are on top of other ones that have been monumental already.
Yes, there's a lot of churn, certainly, in Parliament. It's coming mostly, I think, from the Conservative caucus. They've lost 7 MPs since the April 2025 election. So, an unusual amount of churn, I think, reflecting all kinds of things. A fourth Liberal mandate, some frustration with Poilievre's leadership and the Conservative caucus, and just, the ordinary stuff of people seeing better opportunities, or in the case of Richard Martel and Chicoutimi being offered a Senate seat, so things like that. But yes, I like to think of by-elections as a kind of Rorschach test. You can look at that ink blot and think, that's a cloud, that's a lion, that's a dragon, and you can see a lot in a by-election, maybe too much, and it probably reflects more on you. I think that's the whole point of the Rorschach than it does on what actually might be there.
Well, let's do a little Rorschach testing on how we feel about this in just a few moments. I'd love to get your sense of this. Also, I'd like to dial into a couple of the particular key ones that you think are interesting to watch. I mean, I mentioned North Vancouver, Capilano, just because it's here in BC, and it involves a fairly high-profile Liberal and Jonathan Wilkinson, who stepped away. So we could talk about that. But I'll ask you this question first before we take our break for the news. Since we already saw by-elections give Mark Carney's Liberals a majority government, is there a chance that these next by-elections could take it away at all? Do you think that's at all in the cards?
No, it is not. Currently the Liberals are sitting at 173. Mathematically, you need 172 in a 343-seat House, but that doesn't allow for the vacancy, so the actual number of majority necessary is lower. 2 of these 3 on August 31st are very strong Liberal seats, and they're almost certain to win them given the way the Liberals are polling nationally. 9% advantage to the Liberals over the Conservatives, 9% here in BC as well for the federal Liberals. So I think they're likely to win in North Van and Capilano and Beaches East York. The interesting race, I think, the one that's going to be a very close call, is in the Saguenay region of Quebec, and that's Chicoutimi-Le Fjord. But I think likely to see the Liberals get to 175. increasing their margin with respect to the majority.
Right, so that's a prediction there for how these by-elections will play out when it comes to the seat count. But let's talk a bit more about these, and you mentioned some of the interesting ones already, so we'll get into those in detail with David Black from Royal Roads University in just a moment. But hold on the line because we're going to take a break for our news and get up to date with Lisa.
Thank you, Ryan. Good morning. Penticton RCMP say an 80-year-old woman has died in the Bald Range wildfire. Police say the woman died as she was trying to escape her home in Meadow Valley, west of Summerland, over the weekend. They didn't provide any further details as to what exactly happened, but that fire alone has forced more than 20,000 people from the Okanagan Lake region and beyond to evacuate. The mayor of Summerland, Doug Holmes, says structures have been lost in that fire, but he says it's too soon to take stock because the area remains an active fire zone, and BC fire officials believe that the flames may be fanned more by dry conditions and wind across the area. The U.S. president is insisting that Iran is in very bad shape and that the U.S. is only semi-negotiating with them in order to let the pressure build. In an interview with Axios on Sunday, Trump said the U.S. is essentially low-keying negotiations with Tehran. And in Nova Scotia, a clinical trial for a new vaccine targeting the deadly Ebola virus is underway. Currently, there is no vaccine for it or treatment. Health Canada has authorized Moderna to conduct the Phase 1 trial, which started when a volunteer received the first vaccination last week. The company began to enroll 80 volunteers from the East Coast and Toronto. The participants will not be exposed to the virus during the trial, designed to evaluate the vaccine's safety, determine dosages, and monitor for any side effects. And that is your headline news to 8:47.
Thank you, Lisa. Back to our conversation on by-elections and federal politics with David Black next.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island. 40 years of Fringe magic. Experience Victoria Fringe Fest, August 26th through September 6th. Feel the roar at Pacific FC Soccer. Get your soccer tickets today at cplsoccer.com. Live music, good vibes, and fun for all ages. Soberfest is back August 15th at Starlight Stadium.
Get more event info at CFAX1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
CFAX 1070 traffic and weather, fairly typical commute. In fact, I'd say even lighter than usual at this point from the West Shore into Victoria. No other crashes or problems on our major routes. We do have a one-sail wait at BC Ferries. It's full at 9. Next available vessel with vehicle deck space is the 10. The weather looks sunny today. A few clouds, a little breeze off the water. Otherwise, it's a high of 22 degrees, and right now we're sitting at 16. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by CUPE, Vancouver Island. Workers delivering the public services island communities rely on. CUPE, better services, better communities.
Ryan and Lisa are ready when you are.
Good morning.
Day or night, find the highlights under latest audio at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
We're in the middle of a conversation with David Black, professor of communications and culture at Royal Roads University, and we're talking about federal by-elections. There's 9 of them we're counting right now after a breaking news just this hour. There's yet another MP who's stepping aside. He's a Liberal MP. Sean Chen. He's got health issues, apparently, according to sources. This news just coming out. But it makes 9 by-elections. We've already had a bunch of monumental by-elections during this current sitting of Parliament. We're kind of getting a sense of it all with David Black, who's been holding on the line through the break. Thanks so much for hanging in there, David, and talking to us today.
Oh, glad. Yeah, always here to talk politics.
Now, we were kind of just setting that up before the break, that this is an unusual amount of churn, as you put it. I thought that was a good term. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on, whether it's within the Conservative Party and people fleeing there, but we've seen a lot of people leaving their other posts as well. There's just been this kind of unsettled situation amongst MPs. And next up, we were going to sort of drill into a few of these, and you were mentioning one of the most interesting and tightest ones you were saying was in Chicoutimi. What's going on there?
Yeah, so Chicoutimi is interesting. Again, this is in that part of Quebec that tends to be sovereigntist and kind of soft, Quebec nationalist. In the Saguenay, where the Gulf of St. Lawrence begins to open. This is a conservative federal seat in Quebec, and the incumbent was a very popular junior hockey coach, Richard Martel. Now, notably, and this is a rare event, offered a Senate seat by a Liberal Prime Minister as a Conservative MP and took it, again, creating more trouble for the leader, Pierre Poilievre. This was a really interesting race, and kind of one of those uncommon close three-way races in 2025, where Martel won by about 3 percentage points, with the Bloc Québécois and the Liberals in second and a very close third. I think it's entirely possible that the Conservatives may lose this seat because Martel, his popularity was kind of holding this in place for the Conservatives. And this may well be a showdown between the Bloc and the Liberals. The Bloc, of course, although, a federal party, we have a Quebec provincial election where their kind of sovereigntist cousins, the Parti Québécois, are leading in the polls. That election is this fall, so it's kind of a test really of the power of the kind of sovereigntist kind of voting bloc in Quebec. But there is that considerable updraft that the Liberals are enjoying right now, with again Mark Carney's personal popularity being at a remarkable high, and the Liberals again enjoying nationally a 9-point advantage over the Conservatives. So I think we'll see in this riding, kind of as we saw in Terrebonne. Another riding we had a by-election in where it was a kind of Bloc-Liberal face-off. Just the relative strength of the Liberals federally in Quebec, and whether they're in a good position to continue to be strong there.
Let's talk about the BC by-election, because we got one BC riding that's up for grabs in a by-election. It's North Vancouver Capilano, and this is the seat vacated by Liberal MP Jonathan Wilkinson. He was appointed as ambassador to the European Union, so he moved on to that. Set this one up for us, a bit of the backstory behind Jonathan Wilkinson and how that by-election is shaping up.
Yeah, Wilkinson, has been he came in with the Trudeau majority in 2015, and a considerable person, Rhodes Scholar, someone who was, I think a kind of star candidate within the Liberal caucus, offered this opportunity to be ambassador to the EU, and the seat, the candidate for the Liberal nomination is the deputy chief of staff for Mark Carney. So the Liberals won this by 26 points in 2025. No, it was a very good election for them, obviously. And I just don't see that changing now. Now, if you go back, a few election cycles back to 2008, 2011, this was a Conservative seat. And going back further, it was a much stronger right-leaning seat held by a variety of parties, on the right, going into, way into the 90s. So, unlike, say, Beaches East York, which has been a Liberal stronghold forever, this has not been the case for North Van Capilano, but it remains that a 26-point advantage, just over a year ago, I think speaks well for the Liberals going into this by-election.
Do we know anything about the names being put forward to replace Jonathan Wilkinson? Any that stand out to you?
Well, the person running for the Liberal nomination, who got the Liberal nomination, is Braden Cayley. So again, he was deputy chief of staff to to Mark Carney, so someone within the PMO. On the Conservative side, and it's really a riding where only the Conservatives and Liberals have been competitive. The NDP finished with 4 points in 2025, a terrible showing for them. It's a rerun. Stephen Curran is running for the Conservatives, and I don't know much about him. So, again, likely to remain a Liberal hold with that 26-point advantage. And again, with the Liberals being at 9 points in BC and 9 points nationally in terms of their margin right now.
Well, we've just got a moment left with David Black from Royal Roads University as we talk about the upcoming by-elections. Some of them are really soon. We've got August 31st for 3 of them, including that North Vancouver, Capilano, BC riding. But there's going to be 9 in total because breaking news this morning of another Liberal MP who is stepping aside for health reasons. Don't know what, it's too early to say anything about that one, but there will, I guess, be a by-election. Anything else to say? Final word to you on this, the state of federal politics and this remarkable number of by-elections.
Yeah, as we look at the 3 parties that are competitive in these ridings, I think with respect to the Liberals, the question is, are they as strong as their polls indicate? And that's a good question to ask. For the Conservatives, if they end up losing in Chicoutimi-Lafjord, this will be another kind of bad news story for the Pierre Poilievre Conservatives. And whether they finish below 20 in North Van Capilano, again, they have been kind of the second place finisher there, a respectable finish. But if they drop significantly, this is just another bad news item for the Conservatives. And with respect to the Bloc, where does sovereignist sentiment sit right now? It's on the low ebb in Quebec. The Liberals are enjoying some popularity there. So the question is whether the Bloc candidate is able to kind of take this for the Conservatives, keep this away from the Liberals, and preventing the Liberals from padding their slim majority. So we'll see.
David Black, Royal Roads University, thank you for your time, and we'll be watching.
Okay, thank you.
And thanks for listening, everybody. That's it for us. Lisa's got your news next.